We've only got one shot. We've got one shot. Do you feel alive? We've got one shot. We've got one shot. Do you feel alive? Get in, get out. You know that we won't back down to feel alive. Waiting for the chance to show the world who we are. We've only got one shot. We've only got one shot. We gotta do it right to feel alive. Waiting for the chance to show the world who we are. We've only got one shot.
Hello everybody and welcome to the final round of Creator Series Season 11 Round 10, and we are at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. It is a title fight, ladies and gentlemen, a sprint race and then a main Grand Prix race with only 2 points separating Meraki and Tim Marduk. There is outside chances for Lolly Noba and a very outside chance for that guy Vince, but the main two focus are Meraki and Tim Marduk. I am your presenter, Alex Heron, today, getting you through all of the action involved in this fantastic season finale. But I'm not alone. I'm joined by three very clever people as well. But we'll introduce one of them to start with, and we go over to Clipbook Corner, where Carl is sitting there. Carl, we have what could be a very exciting championship fight.
Oh, it's a tantalising prospect, isn't it? One final crack at the whip, ladies and gentlemen. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Slew of reserves involved, also welcoming back a fabulous friend to the grid tonight. But it's 2 points between the two main protagonists. Still, some people with an outside shout, make no mistake about that. But whatever happens tonight, strap yourselves in because it's going to be one hell of a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the championship standings are very, very close indeed. We'll take a quick look at those, and as you can see, it is Meraki leading the way on 141 points, but Tim Marduk 139 just behind him, 2 points off. Alex Gillen not racing this weekend, so he's out of the title picture already, but Lolly Noba technically still has a chance, 22 points behind. No, 25 points behind. I can't read. 25 points behind. And then Dango Vince, as I said, has an outside chance, but he needs pretty much everything to go his way and for no one else to score any points. So, Carl, it's probably between two drivers here, but they're still technically four in contention for it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, don't discount out the battle for third place as well. We've got, like you say, Lolly, that guy Vince, Razin's in a good fight here. There's a bit of a no man's land in the middle, but honestly, it's going to be interesting how the dynamic plays out tonight, I think. Ben's only got a 2-point deficit to overturn. If he does that in the sprint, though, mindset completely changes because he changes from the hunter to then being the hunted. And that's a completely different approach you've got to take. There's a bit more self-preservation you just prepare yourself with. So this sprint is going to be very telling, I feel. They've got to work their way from the back, but it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, it certainly will, and we'll go through the sprint order with our commentators in just a few moments' time. But it is an incredibly close title fight, and I'm glad it's come down to the final race. We got to go to last week's result, which of course was in the streets of Las Vegas, with Lolly Noba winning from Tim Marduk and then Meraki. So your top two in the championship finished second and third last time out, with Von Mackay just coming up in fourth place. But it's all still to play for, with no driver winning last time out, which make it so close going into this final round, Carl.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, if we look at wins between the two of them, both our championship protagonists, they've only won a single race between each so far. Of course, Meraki won in Singapore, the main event, and Ben, of course, won in Brazil. Came very close in Las Vegas, but ultimately had to settle for second. But this is it. If there was any better time to try and get another win on the board, it's today. They've got to make it count. We can't emphasize enough how close this is going to be. Of course, we have seen one very big championship fight between these two before, and we know how that ended.
We certainly do, and could it end the same way? But we're going to find out shortly. But we haven't introduced two of the most important parts of this weekend. Our commentary duo this afternoon. We are joined by Tom Knight and Tom Wilkinson, the double Tom, the TT in the box. Tom, I'm going to start with Tom Knight. I've just said Tom. It could have been anyone. TK, what are your thoughts going into this weekend? It is a very exciting Grand Prix.
It absolutely is, and one that I very much feel should be the season finale. Abu Dhabi has been the home to an F1 season finale for many, many years. It's actually been very rare that we've gone there for a season finale. For Creator Series, I believe we've gone there once a couple of seasons ago. But to tie that in with such a close championship fight, I think it gives us the perfect stage for what will be a thrilling end to the championship.
Yeah, I think it certainly will be. I mean, obviously Meraki and Ben Tom, they have been at the top for a while. And of course, Ben struggled a little bit with the newer generations of cars, but it's sort of started to come back in them. And he's now within 2 points of a title victory. But two very important races around what has been a track that has been notoriously difficult to overtake on.
It has, and it has been fascinating watching it over the last few weeks. Carl alluded to it. The sprint race is going to be really important with the gap being so small. If one of them can have a really, really strong sprint race, and the head-to-head in sprints this season very much in favour of Ben. He's finished first, fourth and fourth. Jake has won a sprint. The other times he's finished 10th. So there's a big disparity there in performance. If Ben can either get on level terms or even just get himself ahead, that effectively buys you one extra position come the race.
Yeah, it certainly will. And of course, there is that 8 points up for grabs in the sprint race. But of course, we have a very different looking grid that Mr. TK will be taking us through shortly when we get underway. But yeah, guys, I think, TK, I know you're a betting man at heart. If you were a betting man, what were your thoughts on to win the title here? I mean, outside shot clearly is Lolly Nova.
I think the outside shot somewhere is Alex Gillen, who mysteriously turns up and races an all-black racing suit. But as much as I'm a betting man, I'm also a statistics man. I like to know everything behind it to understand what's going on. If we look at the points per average in races, Meraki's on 14.9, Ben only averaging 13.3 with that additional DNF that we saw reverse Zandvoort. But Ben categorically has the better results over the course of the season. But additionally, on top of that, because it's a sprint, if Ben beats Jake in a sprint race, he tends to do worse in the main race if you look at the data behind it. So it is all over the place when it comes to it. But if you ask me for one answer, I think Ben's going to win his third championship.
Well, that is the answer from TK. But what does TW? I think we're going to call you TW from now on to shorten your name as well. Oh. What is the thoughts on your betting side?
I don't like to say the same thing, but I probably concur. If you look at the standings, after 4 rounds, Jake was 30 points clear. And ever since then, Ben's been biting. They've been nip and tuck over the last 3 weeks. That gap hasn't extended to more than 3 points, albeit for the rest of the season, or the entirety of the season, it has been in favour of Jake. Statistically, I know TK mentioned it, but there aren't that many variables where Tiamat Malik has been better than Jake. His average finishing position is worse. His average grid position is significantly worse. It's only the sprint races where he has been considerably better. But I think if Ben qualifies ahead, I think that's a very good sign for him. If he qualifies behind, he's going to leave himself with a little bit too much to do. Every time Ben has started ahead of Jake this season, he's beaten him in the race.
That is good odds indeed. We do have, of course, our Clipbook Corner man who has got something to show us as well. Carl, we're just talking about a betting man quickly. Before we go on to the clips that you may have, what is your bet on this?
Oh, good question. Very good question. I mean, if I felt like a really betting man, I'd say Lolinova's going to storm it, but we'll leave that aside because it's a very outside and rogue shout. You never know. Strange things have happened. It's tricky because his fortune favours, historically, Meraki. Because the last time these two properly went nose to tail, of course, he won the championship. Under rather controversial circumstances, I might add. But alas, he did win that championship. Speaking of which, right on cue, here we are. Cast your minds back to Season 4, ladies and gentlemen, on F1 23. Travelling up through Eau Rouge. It was a simpler time back then. Look at this wonderful game cycle. Look at Meraki wearing the Williams shirt. He didn't have a sticker on his wheel, and Ben was practically inhaling his face cam. Those were simpler times. But up through Eau Rouge he goes, onto the Kemmel straight. You'll see Tom behind him. No battery at all for Jake as he makes his way down the straight. Behind, though, we have Mr. Tiamat Marduk, who gets a great slipstream despite having not that much battery. Of course, he has the advantage of that DRS dosage. So he pulls to the inside. Meraki looks to defend. Ben cuts all the way. Meraki moves again, and there was always going to be contact. And absolute fireworks between the two of them, just to put it in Jake's perspective as well, to go back to his point of view all the way through. You'll see him, yeah, it's there. See him go through. We'll just slow this down a tiny bit, because this is what can happen when the championship is on the line. Of course, he held the advantage regardless going into this race. But you'll see, Ben very aggressively snaps through. Meraki just shifts over to the right. And as a result, Ben just kind of runs out of road. Whether that's championship desperation or Ben just getting, well, championship desperation on both ends, to be honest with you. I leave that up to you all to decide. It was, well, just over 6 long seasons ago. Now approaching rapidly 7. As Tom, by the way, just skirts on through into P3. What an absolute legend. And front wing damage from Meraki, as you can tell, is absolutely incensed. But like I say, fortune favours Meraki. On that day, he finished as the championship leader and the championship winner by extension by 8 points on that day. What a scenario we could have on our hands. I'm going to say Ben wins this one, though. I think momentum's been on his side. He's the hunter going into this one. I feel like that just takes the pressure off him a little bit, or rather, applies it in a bit of a better place.
I think that will be interesting to find out. Just got in my ear that we're going to go to the grid. We're going to hand over to TK and T-Dub, as I've learned now from our Gareth Allen. TK, take us through the starting grid.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, and welcome for the first time this evening to the Yas Marina circuit and your starting grid for today's sprint race. And of course, how else could it be? Starting from the back, we beat both our championship contenders. Meraki starts 20th, with Tim McMardock starting 19th just ahead of him. 1 row forward, Lolly Noba starts from 18th place. That guy Vince starts from 17th, while both of them technically in the championship this afternoon. Who knows what can happen under the lights. 16th place Razin Chai, who's not won a sprint in its entirety this season, starts from 16th place. And Karim 70, after a resurgence of comeback after turning off the Rainbow Stage, starts in 15th place. The bestest of friends start alongside each other for today's sprint, with Formula Kai starting in 14th place. His best friend in Emphatic, his Joey to his Chandler, starts in 13th. It's Concept 7, undoubtedly the best concept we've had here in the Creator Series, who starts 12th place this afternoon, with Sapso finally back in his destined Aston Martin, who starts 11th place. Scotty Designs, our Meme King, starts in the front half of the grid in 10th place, alongside him Chappers, who starts 9th. Tukey makes his first top 8 start in a race here this afternoon, excluding sprints, with Grid Jokes starting in 7th place in the other Aston Martin. Chesnoid Gaming, now dressed in blue, starts from 6th place alongside Super Noodle Bagel, who after kicking off his season in Baku with the DNF, has managed to score points at every single appearance. Jess Ball, the commentary team representative, starts on the second row of the grid here this afternoon, alongside Ryan L83, who's more known for iRacing now than F1 25. And of course, starting from the front, it's Lens the Goat, alongside the Goat himself, Tom, who makes his first race appearance here in the Creator Series in 126 days. What a sprint we're in for here, Tom. We're under the lights in Abu Dhabi. We are in for carnage, chaos, and quite possibly a perfect ending to this season.
100%. Back to front, the main protagonist starting on the back row, making camp in 19th and 20th. And then I'm going to include the top 3 in this. You've got Ryan L83 and Lens the Goat, who are yet to trouble the scorers in the F1 Creator Series, and Tom Bean, who is back, but on controller. And that's going to be a whole bevy of potential possibilities heading down the admittedly short run into turn number 1. Should be really, really exciting. Ben, like we alluded to in the intro, has had the advantage in sprint races, hasn't finished outside the top 4 in the sprints. Jake has finished 1st, 10th and 16th. That 16th was a DNF in the Singapore sprint that Ben subsequently ended up winning.
Absolutely, and the question remains, will this sprint have any major impact on which way our championship goes? Don't forget, you can let us know down in the live chat on whichever platform you're watching on, because it is going to be fantastic. Will Ben get his 3rd? Will Jake pick up his 2nd championship? Or who knows? Will Tom somehow manipulate the championship so he scores 30 times points and come through and win it at the final time of asking? Who knows? But to find out, you will have to be here until the end of the Grand Prix. We're lining up for the sprint, Tom. Just before we get going, of course, sprints, shorter stints, they'll probably run mediums to the end. They won't be able to do it on the softer tyres. We're underway for the formation lap. We'll have a look at the tyres. And Tom makes, I believe, a debut for a long time, of course, racing on controller. The question will be for him, can he try and keep that car under control?
We've seen him try to get in a couple of times. If you have been eagle-eyed so far this season, you have occasionally seen the eye Tom pop up at the bottom of the screen and then leave because there's no space left in the lobby. Tim and Marduk, this is my biggest chance to gain on Meraki. Probably concur, and both of them starting on the hard compound tyre. So they're going to come to the fruition at the latter stages of this sprint race. You can see Ryan L83 there, yet to score in the Creator Series, has a 100% DNF rate, which isn't exactly ideal for the teammate starting in front of him. Remember as well, if you have missed the wild card, we are back on equal cars, which I would say probably levels the playing field for Ben and for Jake, because Jake has been in the slower car predominantly in the last few races, and Ben's just been driving that little bit better. So it does give Jake just a little bit of a leg back up.
You're absolutely right, it does. Ryan L83 just taking the more creative line as they made their way down through turn 6 and turn 7, and riding along with that guy Vince. He has the longest of Nicole's long boys shots at the title. Practically needs to win the sprint to be part of it. I think he needs to win the sprint, and I believe win the main race as well as a few other DNFs up and down the field. So it is a long boy shot for that guy Vince, and I did some research on long boys when I thought that was going to be on the screen. It comes from a Canadian, I believe a Canadian, breed of duck.
Interesting. Always got to be careful when you're researching long boys. And remember as well, there are the bonus points that are up for grabs as well. Cleanest driver, fastest lap, and intermediate pole position. So 36 points available with the 8 for the sprint and the 25 for the main race.
Absolutely right. As we climb, or well, drive under the hotel bridge, which is decorated rather effectively for the season 11 finale here this afternoon. We watched with Tukey. Coming around the final few corners, the Nicholas Latifi zone, if you want to so call it that, in towards the final couple of corners of turns 15 and 16. They'll all get themselves in their appropriate grid positions. I did see someone doing donuts off in the background there. It's one of the kick sounds. I believe that to be Meraki going completely the wrong way. Just making sure that everybody is aware on how they intend to try and run through this session, at least from the very start, as Tukey pulls up to his grid box. Thought for a moment he was going to park where that has decided to, a Formula Kai. Everyone making their way in towards their respective grid boxes. There is one missing behind the Red Bull. I believe that to be, I'm going to assume that's Tukey who's out of the way, but he does finally pull in. Meraki comes across team radio. Let's do it. Well, let's do it indeed, Tom. And why don't you take us away for our sprint race?
All the potentials down to turn 1, and look already at the angle Lens the Goat is at. Returning Tom, 2 McLarens waiting in the wings, short run down to turn number 1, and for the first time this evening here in Abu Dhabi, we are racing, sprinting down into the first braking zone. How will Tom cope with this? We don't know. He's not got off the grid particularly well, and already Lens the Goat seizes the opportunity, diving to the inside and nabbing the lead from the Red Bull Racing driver's pocket, and through goes the other Papaya car as well. Tom Bean is struggling to hold on to places. There goes 1, there goes 2 as well. Now a bit of contact as he goes jumping and cascading over the bumpy runoff period, and now Jess Ball trying to hang it out around the outside. Aston Martin of Grid Jokes, qualified on pole position in Suzuka a couple of weeks ago, interloping right at the sharp end. The 2 championship protagonists still towards the back. Ben's made up a couple of places, just 1 for Meraki.
They've got moves to make in this sprint race if they want to try and take the title here this afternoon. Ryan L83 looks in towards the heavy braking zone. They're 3 or 4 wide further back, but everybody tries to navigate their way through nice and calmly. Grid Jokes around the outside of Tom on controller, who had that amazing save earlier on, and now he proceeds up into 3rd place. Tim Marduk's made up a considerable number as well, as he's up into 13th already.
Look at that, a couple of drivers tumbling through the field. Kareem 17 now last. Concept 7 has dropped like a stone as well. Safso dropping behind Raz and Chai, and the Aston Martin very, very wide there. Could leave him vulnerable to Tim and Marduk, who still has the Mercedes of Chappers to deal with. Formula Kai and Fratic still nose to tail as well. Haven't yet knocked 10 bells out of each other, but there's still 9 laps of this sprint race to go as Tim and Marduk tuck right up underneath the rear wing, almost alongside his former teammate in the final sector.
Fabio's making moves as well, almost tried to dispatch Chesnoy, gaining in towards the final sector, but Lens the Goat leads and ends the first lap of 10 here in the sprint race in Abu Dhabi. Ryan L83 right on the rear gearbox of his teammate for the evening as he tries to push him around the first few corners. Tom's dropped down 3 from where he started on pole position. I think there's someone falling down the order. Razin Chai might have had an issue as he drops considerably and well and truly to the back of the order.
Not good news at all. Didn't quite see it there, but that is not good for him. Trying to chase that, as we said, best of the rest position in the championship. Tim and Marduk already inside the top 10 as Scotty Designs has looped it round as well into the braking zone of turn 4. You can see the Ferrari plastered down the barriers. And that is 19th for our meme king. Grid Jokes, we thought, might be one of the favourites starting towards the front. Now going to try and hang it around the outside of Ryan L83 to take 2nd place off his hands. Outside turns to the inside of the chicane, but the McLaren keeping his foot in it around the outside for the time being. Ryan L83 has rebuffed that assault.
Both of them with a double dose of DRS left and right. They tried to go as Ryan L83 by the barest of margins squeezes past his teammate of Lens the Go and now in towards the race lead. There was a moment there that almost certainly his underwear will not be clean as he makes his way through turns 10, 11, 12 and 13. And that means Ryan L83 up 3 positions from where he once started. Grid Jokes will now try and dispatch Lens the Goat, who could try and play the ultimate Lando Norris strat, or should I say Oscar Piastri strat, as we head in towards the final race of IRL, and Jess Ball trying to hold her own as Fabio defends around the outside.
Jess chucked it up the inside of the final corner, must have been contact, and yes, we see the Red Bull backwards, one of the Saubers off the road, both Hasses caught up in that as well. That was Chesnoy sending it down the inside of Jess, and in Fratting, I think has caused a bit of a car park corner, not for the first time this season in the Creator Series sprints.
Absolutely right. Let's see what Chesnoy Gaming is made of, because he's got some resilience left in that tank. I'm almost certain of it 3 wide for Razin Chai, who's made the almighty of comebacks. I'm fairly sure I saw an Alpine's front wing go flying off there. That will be Concept 7, who's been caught up in the twists and the turns of that opening first sector. But now we run down towards turn 6 and 7 once again for all of our drivers to try and make some opening moves. Sprint races are all about that. It is one sprint until the end. There is no chance about strategy. Oh, as Lens the Goat goes completely too deep in towards turn 6, unfortunately rear-ending the car in front.
Takes a chunk out of Tuki's rear wing. I'm wondering if Tim McMardick has some damage, because he was one of the big losers in that big kerfuffle on the previous lap. Tuki now trying to dispose of Grid Jokes. The other McLaren potentially falling backwards. Jess Ball battling around the outside, desperately trying to get ahead of this wounded McLaren car, hanging it all the way around the outside. But the door is going to get slammed in her face there, and she will remain for the time being in position number 7. Ben, yes, is missing that left-hand end plate. Not good news. Jake, I saw it, just floored it off the circuit around the outside of everyone around the final corner. He's managed to jump Ben and to the tune of 3 places.
Jake's now only 2 positions away from scoring points, and valuable points of out here in the sprint race. He'll have Chappers and Lens to go. Of course, Lens starting all the way up in second place. We ride on board with Formula Guy, who's just behind the Sauber of our championship contender. That's Chappers looking to the inside of Lens to go. The Meraki tries to switch but gets the undercut, and that is 2 positions for the price of 1, and is one of our championship contenders well within point scoring range now.
It's getting battered from pillar to post and now tumbling through the field. He might have just dropped it. Yes, there's an Aston Martin of Safso off into the pickets as well. And that's 2 more taken out of contention to battle for some decent points-paying positions. Datka Vince, I think, has just got past his former teammate Itom in the battle for 5th and 6th. And Tim Martin continued to battle and grind away at this. Got himself ahead of Chappers, who I think also has a little bit of damage. But Jake inside the top 8 now.
Being told in the Twitch chat, Ben has 75% damage. I think take that with a bit of pinch of salt, because you never know quite how the wings are going to be affected here, but Ben almost certainly well and truly in the wars. Formula Kai and Jess Ball battling it out up in 7th and 8th place respectively. Mahas just getting better of the Williams as Meraki once again makes his way back in towards points contention as he dispatches Jess Ball. Formula Kai made the better of Tom, who of course still racing on controller, and for the time being loses out to Meraki as well.
4 points, the gap now as Jake moves up into 7th. That'll be 2 points added to the kitty. Still doesn't mean that if he finishes 2nd and Ben wins the race, Ben will still pick up the championship, providing there aren't any bonus points thrown in there. So Ben at the moment still has a little bit of buffer to work with. But if Jake continues to pick up places and pick them off one by one, Ben's going to be under serious pressure going into the main race.
Certainly is indeed, but don't count him out yet. He's still got opportunities to try and make moves here, but Razin Chai, I think, is trying to put an end to that as we see the kicks out in the distance, just running off wide as he's still side by side with Tim Mardik, who just holds his own. Lolly Nova now the blocking force between point scoring positions for our native Australian. Look behind Karim 70, I think, thinking about a move to the inside. We can see that wing damage on display. Oh, that's surely more for one of our championship contenders. Front right end plate this time, absolutely going into Narnia.
That 100% point scoring record in the sprint this season looks like it's going up in flames for Tim Mardik, because he's got some more significant damage after just clattering into a couple of cars going into turn number 4. The battle for the lead continues to rage on though. Ryan L83 has been reeled in by 1, 2 and 3 cars. In Fratic at the back, through goes the Williams, through goes the Aston Martin, from 1st to 3rd for Ryan L83.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Fabio wants to try and get into contention here as well. You can see just sniffing on the rear of that McLaren as they make their way through the final, or the first of the opening corners of the 3rd and final sector. Ryan L83 catches the car magnificently, and that opens the door now for Fabio to try and sneak his way through, and race control hand him a 3-second penalty just for, well, double bit of bad luck for Ryan L.
Tom continuing to fall through the field. Now 14th for the Season 3 champion. Jess Ball down in 15th after starting in P4. So the drivers that were towards the front beginning to tumble through the field. Formula Kai, though, absolutely flying out there, as I think Ches has looped it round in the final set with a bit of a lazy spin and dropping down to P19. Kai could be one of the big jokers in this championship pack. The likes of Lolanoba, the likes of Raz and Chai as well, because they are very quick and no longer driving with realistic performance cars, I should say. That's going to put everybody back on that level playing field right at the sharp end.
Interesting to note as well, Safso's the only driver that has made their way in for a pit stop, off of the hard tyres on towards the mediums. Now my assumption would be that has to be purely for damage reasons. You wouldn't traditionally see a pit stop here, and Chesnoid Gaming joins him going for the medium strategy, but of course that will be surely for a front wing repair. But crossing the line up at the back, you see him just still on the lead lap, still holding on for dear life, and we go back towards the front. Tim and Mardik now in 11th place. But look at the gap in front of him, over 2 seconds to Krim 17, and I think that's going to be some bonus points that he really would have wanted heading into the main race.
Say goodbye to picking up points in this sprint race and maybe take the championship lead away from Maraki. The other Sauber trying to dance around the outside of Kareem 17. They stay interlocked into the final sector. It's going to be Razin that's in the ascendancy on the inside. Kareem with a little bit of damage, struggling for front downforce. Going to fight it out though, getting his elbows out is the former champion as Razin Chai's run off the road, and the Sauber for the time being having to sit and wait behind the second RB.
Absolutely right. The battle rages on here as we enter on to the 7th lap. We've got 4 to go in the Grand Prix. Maraki sat rather pretty behind Vince, both of them technically still in with a chance of the championship, but Maraki knows what job he has to try and do today. Any points that he scores in the sprints are to his favour, heading into both qualifying and the main race, and Safso becomes our 3rd driver to pick up a penalty here this afternoon. To the inside goes that guy Vince on Ryan L83, making that 5th place for the Alpine. Opens the door as well for the kick Sauber of Maraki just to slide his way through as they run down the DRS straight towards turn 6 once again. A prime overtaking spot here at Yas Marina, just able to try and slam it late on the brakes, but Maraki thinking the better of it this time around. Will get the double dose of DRS as they run down towards turn number 9.
I've been slightly concerned there because Ryan missed his braking point ever so slightly, almost slammed into the back of the Sauber. As it is, the DRS is going to be used for Maraki again, and that is a top 5 place for the Season 4 champion and championship leader. Tuki's just lost the lead to Grid Jokes out in front. The gap in the championship, though, with those 4 points going to be 6, which is now the difference, more than the difference, between 1st and 2nd in the main race.
Absolutely right. The question will be, and the answer will come at the end of the main race as to whether this was enough or whether that DNF potentially Zandvoort reverse is what cost Ben the championship here this afternoon. It would of course equal Jake in terms of championships to Team Mardik. They'll both be on 2 should it go the way of the man from Essex, but of course time will tell. We've still got a qualifying session, and of course we still have a main race to come. That's going to be Tuki running off wide as Fabio comes over the team radio. I'm double downshifting. It feels like I'm going to spin, and that quite possibly could happen, especially if you double downshift. The rear axles of the car just want to try and lock together. Of course, they'll spin you out if you try and do it a little bit too drastically.
That Ferrari seemingly as nice to drive as it seems to be in real life over at Qatar. But Fabio doing a good job, although he's going to have to go on the defensive because the big squeeze shown to Formula Kai. He's trying to force his way down the inside. We could be 4 wide. Contact once again between Kai and Infratic. Tuki a little bit balked at the apex there. Gets slammed into by the pair of them. Kai runs off the road as these two continue to sink their teeth into one another. Story after story after story, so often entangled and intertwined they have been in the past few Creator Series campaigns. Kai now has the inside. I think he has got that spot on the podium.
He absolutely does, but the more these drivers continue to battle, it's more opening up for Maraki to potentially try and come through and win this from 19th place from the back of the grid, and this could be a monumental victory for Maraki if he's able to do so. They've still got 2 laps of racing to go as they come towards the start-finish line for the 8th time, and there's still an opportunity for him to win this race, let alone a podium, and they'll be crucial points in his championship charge with Team Mardik. But we watch Infratic battling, of course, his old friend running down towards the first corner. Both cars powered by the same power unit, the Ferrari technical power unit in both the Ferrari and the Haas car, as they make their way through on towards lap 9.
Wouldn't be surprised if Jake ends up winning this. We know that he likes to backdoor races and just suddenly spawn in P3 and finish on the podium. Well, he's got 2 drivers in front that, let's say, have got a bit of a interesting history in the Creator Series. Formula Kai and Infratic. We've already seen them getting very feisty with one another. And Gridjokes and Tukey yet to win so far in the Creator Series. If they get a little bit spicy in their battles, that could present a really good opportunity for Jake to extend his championship lead. Tukey under pressure. Kai's going to try and have a look around the outside early on the brakes, just trying to prepare a bit of a switchback to have a go again.
Of course. That guy Vince now in the top 6, all battling it out for what will be the sprint race victory, the last sprint race of the season, and of course the last one in 2025 was Formula Kai just banging wheels with Tukey. But just to answer you in the chat, yes, Tom is of course Tom that you all know and love from the Creator Series, making a one-off return as Tukey slams the door rather aggressively as they made their way in towards turn number 10. The Williams not wanting to give up second place on the podium here, Tom.
Fighting very, very hard. Got just over a lap to go. Yellow flag is out. I think there's a Red Bull going slowly. Ches again, or it might be Tom backing off, and another little mistake for the Season 3 champion. But look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars line astern, rounding the final corner for the penultimate time, and big, big implications for 2 of the potential champions, although Dak Gavin needs at this stage a bit of a miracle to keep himself involved.
Here we go then, 3.281 miles to go here in the sprint race. We're on lap 10 of 10. It's all down to this for our top 6 drivers, all of them remaining penalty free. Which way will it go? Which driver will take the top spot? And surely some confidence as we head in towards qualifying and the main race scenario. Tukey has the opportunity. He's got the prime move to make with the DRS, as Gridjokes will remain unable to open that rear wing in towards turn 6 and turn 7. But you can see the chase back that are continually bowing down to them. He looks to the left, he looks right, but doesn't go for the move. Kai goes very late on the brakes in towards turn 6, almost running into the back of the Williams, but now it's Tukey with another opportunity, the final DRS zone of the circuit, to try and get this move done. But he's surely going to be under some sort of time pressure from the Haas car, who goes right then left, looks towards the inside of turn 8, both of them go spinning around, releasing in Fratic and Meraki up into second place. Now is the potential champion for the season, Tom.
Pendulum swinging once again in favour of the Season 4 champion, Jake. All of his Christmases have come in November there, because Formula Kai has taken out 2 of the drivers that sat in front of him. He's going to end up in P4. Can Ben capitalise? I don't think he's going to be able to pick up any points. Now he's really close to the back of Gridjokes. Could he win this round the final corner? I don't think so. It's green versus green as the yellow flags come out. But it's Gridjokes who will take a victory in the Creator Series for the first time. Meraki needed a good sprint race to consolidate his championship position. That is absolutely what has happened there. And he's been dealt a big, big favour by Formula Kai there. Tried to send it down the inside of Tukey, slammed into the Williams and took him Fratic with him.
Somehow Kai's dived down the inside and come out the best of the 3 drivers that were involved. Tukey dropped down to 6th. Fabio drops all the way down to 17th place, and actually even further as his teammate Scotty Designs passes him on the exit of turn 15. And I think they are just both parked there at the final corner. I wonder if we're able to go and have a look at both Ferraris, having a bit of a hug at the final corner. Oh, they're both doing donuts to see off the season. Very lovely from both our Scarlet Red cars, and the Aston Martin of Sasso comes to join them. Fabio comes over the team radio, and I'm sure that is not something. That is probably a lot of silence.
Not good for Ben. That's going to be a bit of a kick in the teeth. 4 points being gained for Jake when he was P5. He probably could have dealt with that 6-point difference. 9 points. That's a pretty sizable margin. Jake's going to have a poor race if Ben's going to get himself right back into the thick of this action.
Absolutely. Loads of drivers joining for donuts. Lens the goat, Tom. That's complete 5 as well, as we saw earlier. All of them under the lights, just celebrating the end of the season and the end of 2025. But don't forget, folks, we've still got a race to go. Still got 58 laps of racing. And of course, a short qualifying session to round off the season. But the advantage, well and truly, is in the hands of Meraki here, Tom.
100%. We thought the sprint race was going to have big implications, and now very much does. As Fabio with another 10-second penalty, trying to burn up those tyres as much as possible as the Ferraris end up in 17th and 18th. Not too far away from where they're going to finish in the main Qatar Grand Prix. Pirelli, tyres feel like they're on fire. Please have a bit of mercy. They've still got another 58 lap race to go.
I didn't realise Pirellis could talk, but if they could, I'm sure a few from Qatar in real life would be having a good chat with us. We watched Lens the Goat, the final driver who we're waiting to come across the line. He's teasing us as he dips the rear wheels close and closer to that checkered flag, yet to cross them. Lens, we appreciate the donuts. We do want to try and get on with qualifying the race, if you don't mind, old chap.
Places to be, people to see. Come on, let's get going. Yes, thank you very much, Lens, for that one. These bonus points are going to be interesting to look at as well. I doubt Ben will probably get the cleanest driver, considering for a large portion of the first 50% of that, he was getting battered from pillar to post. But it is Grid Jokes that takes it ahead of Meraki. Big step. 7 points gained over Ben. 9 points now the difference in the standings. Datgavins is thrown out of the equation. Lonanoba is as well, despite coming through from 17th to finish 7th. Kareem 17, it was a quiet one. Comes home in 4th behind Formula Kai. Tuki could have been a podium for the second time this season. Wasn't to be. Rhino 83 just missing out. And Ben ending up in P11, wounded over the line and probably kicking the solar plexus as well after seeing what happened on that final lap.
Absolutely right. Well, we're going to hand back over to our presenter extraordinaire, Mr. Alex Heron.
Thank you very much, TK and T-Dub. We are back from a very exciting sprint race. And Carl, it was looking good for Meraki, and then it looked even better on that, well, pretty much second to last corner as we came to the end of Abu Dhabi. But that consolidates his championship charge. We've knocked 2 drivers out, Lonanoba and that guy Vince. It's a bigger gap between Meraki and Ben, but you have a lot of action to show us from that sprint race. So, Carl, take us through it.
Oh, do I ever. Gather round in Clipbook Corner, everyone. Let's just have a breather and just reflect on some of the action that we have just witnessed in front of our very eyes. First of all, I don't usually highlight the formation lap. However, Kareem 17 had a bright idea. What if, and this is a hypothetical which he turned very quickly not into one, what if I turn around and absolutely assassinate someone? That someone was Ben. He got absolutely rogered, and, well, that probably set up the majority of his race, to be honest with you. Ben did have a scintillating start, by the way. Like, absolutely chopped down the inside, used his experience excellently, so credit where credit is due. His start was scintillating. However, it all sort of fell downhill. But first, downhill for one other driver. The green machine, that is Razin Chai, through the final corner. Displaces Scotty Designs, by the way. But then he's got Formula Kai and Infratic in front. Goes for a big old send on Formula Kai. Just a bit too optimistic, maybe. The red arrow will have been there, but Fabio won't have been expecting Razin to have sent it as hard as he did. As a result, a half spin. Luckily, though, no damage for the Kick Sauber driver. We then move on to lap number 3, because this is where Tiamat Marduk's sprint race sort of started to unravel. Up to that point, a great crack at the whip. Make no mistake about that. But it's Chesnoid going for a move on, I believe that's Jess Ball in the Williams car. Gets, well, just miscalculates it. Chops on the rear end. Kai looks to avoid, goes to the right, then snaps to the left. Tiamat Marduk with just nowhere to go. That was the 75% damage that he accrued so early on in the day. Despite that, though, still had some great pace until this moment. Through the first complex he goes, he apologised here, admittedly. He said to Razin, I have chock loads of understeer. And you can see it, just visualise for yourself, through the right-hander. Razin, therefore, sweeps on through, shows the nose to the inside on Jess Ball, but then Razin has another moment, another mistake, locks the rear brakes up, just snaps out. Ben avoids the first car, but Jess Ball just can't move out of the way in that situation. Ben said over the I didn't manage to clip it, but he said simply, why is everyone so incompetent? Frustration boiling over, as shown on the bottom right of your picture. Just incandescence for Tiamat Marduk, but the big points come on race day. More on that in a bit, though. The saga between Kai and Tuki started on lap number 9. So, through onto the DRS straight. Tuki with no battery at all. Cleverly defends the inside. A little bit of a biff on the rear axle, but no real damage done as of yet. This, on the whole, was absolutely clean. Kai holds it round the outside, still holds it, enough space there, but just tries to cook it on the full throttle off the racing line. And as a result, there's always going to be a snap on the rear end. Takes him into the side pod of Tuki. Nothing that Tuki could have done, admittedly. Might have been a bit aggressive with the chop on the outside, but it's all hindsight. If Kai hadn't made that mistake, he would have had a better chance at having a run on the Williams driver. But then we came to the last lap, and this is where it all unravelled for 2, 3, and 4. And, well, the pearly gates opened up for Meraki, who extends his championship lead immensely going into the main race day and this qualifying session. Loads of ERS once again. Kai, smart with his battery usage, has plenty to burn. Tuki does not have that luxury. Switches to the inside this time, but switches off the battery before he gets to the apex, which I was really surprised with. Maybe it's a touch too early, because if you're not quite alongside the rear axle, you're never going to really quite put yourself in a position to make that manoeuvre stick. And as you can see, brake as late as he damn well dares with the compromised line. He's never quite, just pokes alongside Tuki's rear axle. Yes, the proximity arrow will come up, but it's just never a guarantee. So as a result, Tukey's always going to turn in. There's always going to be a collision. Kai sent spinning out. It was, to quote Martin Brundle, a day late and several dollars short from the Haas driver. And as you can probably imagine, there's one man in our final clip that's been absolutely chopped by all of this. Through to the left-hander, comes in Fratic, surveys Formula Kai, switch to the inside, sees a potential opportunity, just goes slightly wide of the apex. Regardless, wouldn't have mattered if he tried to go for the inside because he has to go out of the steering. Contact made with Tukey, and that was the end of it. Fabio absolutely disconsolate with that particular incident after already going head-to-toe with Formula Kai. But what a dramatic sprint race, and that's only part one of the occasion.
Yeah, it certainly is, and these are the updating live standings, ladies and gentlemen. Lolly Noba and that guy Vince are officially out of the race. They were very far away from being a title contender, but they are now officially out, which means it's down to 2 is Meraki and Tim Marduk, and there is only 9 points between them. But Ben couldn't have asked for a worse sprint race.
No, he couldn't have. Just didn't click together at all. Sometimes Lady Luck's on your side, sometimes she isn't, and that sprint race just proved it there. But Alex, despite not being here, Alex Gillen's still in third. For now. Lolly is right on his case, though. The battle for fourth place is still a very enticing one, just as much as it is for that championship clash. There are other scores to settle as well, but particularly between Lolly, that guy Vince, and Razin, I think we're going to see a sensational slobber knocker potentially. But mistakes have to be at a minimum. They weren't in the sprint. They've got to iron them out pretty quickly.
Yeah, they certainly do. The gap that was 2 points is now 9 points. And over to our commentary duo of TK and T-Dub. I mean, guys, that was a sprint. It ended in probably the worst way Ben could imagine, with Meraki finding a way into second place. But yeah, starting with TK here. I mean, obviously you had your prediction. You wanted Ben to. You were a betting man, and you said Ben might have a chance of winning this one. Right now, your bet is not looking good. I'd cash out.
Well, you say that, and as much as I'd love to admit that you are, in theory, correct, I go back to my earlier point that if Ben beats Jake in a sprint, he tends to do worse in the main race. So, the inverse of that is if Jake beats him in the sprint, the other way around tends to happen. So my money is still safe, in my opinion.
I think that's definitely a gambler's mentality there from TK. We should preface at this point that we do not agree with gambling here on the Creator Series channel.
Please gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly, exactly. Now, Tom, obviously, looking at that race, Ben will probably be feeling a little bit downhearted going into it, especially as we heard on the radio from the start. This is my best chance to gain points on Meraki. Abu Dhabi, as we know, tricky place to overtake. We saw in those last laps how people are desperate to try and make those overtakes. But for Ben, he needs a really good qualifying, and I'd say you probably need pole or even the front row to stand a chance of getting this title away.
I would say so if it wasn't somebody that isn't Tim Marduk, because wherever Ben starts, he always finds himself in a position where he can challenge either for a podium or for a race win come the end of the Grand Prix. So even if he starts from 19th in this race, I wouldn't be counting him out for potentially coming back through and taking a decent chunk out of it. 9 points, it's definitely not an insignificant hurdle that he's got to try and overcome. That's the difference between first and fourth in Creator Series point scoring terms, 25 down to 16. So he's going to have a favour from somebody, as Jake had from Kai in the sprint race.
Yeah, we certainly will. And of course, we've got that intermediate pole as well, which actually could turn out to be a very important point in this championship fight. But TK, obviously, we've got 2 sessions left, technically. A qualifying session, and then, of course, the main Grand Prix race. Is it full qualifying? I believe so. Short qualifying. Thank God for that. We haven't got all night. But yeah, short qualifying session, 18 minutes to decide who will take the last pole of the season. I'm going to ask predictions again, TK.
Oh, see, when it comes to qualifying, there's some drivers that are absolutely nailed on. Obviously, we're no longer in realistic performance, so we don't have that caveat to really try and lean into. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I don't really want to put my money on anybody. We could see a very, I don't want to say angry driving Fabio, but, when Fabio gets in a certain zone, he tends to do rather well. So my money could be on Fabio for qualifying.
Well, that'll be certainly an interesting one. And Tom, any last predictions? Of course, around a track like Abu Dhabi, slipstream could be really important as well.
I mean, I'll say something that will probably annoy Fabio, but I think Kai is probably a decent shout for pole. I know he got embroiled in those last few laps there, but he was very, very quick.
Well, we're certainly going to see that. Now, as we go into this qualifying session, TK and Tom, take us through the last qualifying session of this Creator Series season.
Oh, almost got caught out there by the transition being quicker than I thought and was expecting. But here we go, everybody. The clock has begun for qualifying. 18 minutes, put it on your clocks as we get going with all 20 drivers back into contention. Super Noodle Bagel has sorted out whatever issues he may have been having with his PC and does manage to get back into the session. But Tom, now we've got full 20 on the grid, there's not a lot of time to get themselves going and to go for those runs. How are we looking for what's the strategy here? Obviously, Inter's pole point, especially for Ben, will be crucial for them.
100%. He's not somebody that usually picks up a lot of intermediate poles, and if we're going off the record, the best person at intermediate pole positions is Meraki. So there is a chance that Jake could take another step away from Ben in the championship. But of course, we've got so many contenders that could be fighting out for that intermediate pole. I think Ben will probably be thinking cleanest driver. He doesn't usually pick up warnings. If he can stay out of trouble, I think for somebody like Ben, that might be a guaranteed point that he can try and nail down. So that's going to give him a bit of a leg up. If Jake, though, gets the intermediate pole, they'll obviously cancel each other out.
Absolutely right. Let's look at the stats of the numbers again by the season, because I love bringing this sort of element into, since bloody no, they've disqualified already. We've had less than a minute and a half already of the session. We've had one disqualification. But going back to the numbers and the data, as we like to here on the show, interesting to note, Meraki only has one Inter's pole point over the course of the season. We got it last time out in Las Vegas. Ben has not scored an Inter's pole victory here this season so far.
Yes. When you look at qualifying, it's very one-sided, the head-to-heads. Whether it's intermediate pole, the quali head-to-head is 7-2 in favour of Jake, but those two times that Ben has qualified ahead of Jake, he's gone on to beat him in the race. That will tell you something, realistically, about the way that the race driving works. And then the race form in recent weeks as well. First 4 races, it was 77 points for Jake, 47 for Ben. That includes 2 sprint races. In the most recent 5 Grand Prix that has 1 sprint race, 64 for Jake, 92 for Ben. It's complete role reversal.
It absolutely is. It's been a topsy-turvy season from start to finish. And of course, at one point, we thought Alex Gillen was going to be involved in the championship until he decided to sit in the naughty corner for wanting to follow no particular Formula 1 team, but get themselves going. And we had the first Lobby Nova fan in chat asking for a reset. I can tell you distinctively, no.
Sorry about that one, lads. But the game is very much the game. Lolly out of championship contention, which is unfortunate. But like we said with Ben, I think Lolly's somebody that if he qualifies badly, he's been so quick in the last few weeks. He is the form horse coming into this finale. If he had a good sprint race and managed to get ahead of Jake, there's definitely a possibility in a world where he could have nicked the championship because he's been so rapid in the last few weeks.
He absolutely has. One of those contenders that you really have to look at and go, you know what? He's had a fantastic run of form. It's been one that has been somewhat unprecedented, actually, with the exception of maybe a couple of rounds that haven't necessarily gone in his favour, the likes of Brazil, where he finished down in P16. Obviously, Lolly Nova's been running through the field.
100%. Won 2 of the last 4 races as well, so comes into this bang in it. Winning last week in Vegas as well, and the top 3 in the championship, coincidentally finishing 1st, 2nd and 3rd in that race, albeit not in the order they currently find themselves in the championship table. Sector times watch though, Tim Marlock fastest in the first sector by a couple of tenths over his main rivals on the intermediate pole push. Safso has got a bit of a leg up in the middle sector though by a tenth, so just trading blows the 2 former teammates. Safso will be first to complete a lap time. He takes the bollard over the start finish line with him. 27.3. I think we could be seeing drivers dipping their toes maybe into the 26s if they can hook up this tricky final sector.
Absolutely right. We're watching forward with Tim Marlock, who's got, I want to say, a helping hand from his teammate Ty just ahead of it, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily much help when we're heading through the twists and turns of turns 14, 15 and 16. We've come around the final corner. Can he go faster than Safso? He can. It's a 27-1 for Tim Marlock. The advantage back with the Aussie.
Grim 7T flying though, 3 tenths faster than Ben in the middle sector. Could be another drive to play. Spoiler, Razin takes a big chunk out of it, and Kareem absolutely blitzing the final sector. 1/2 a second and 6 tenths per second clear of anybody else, comfortably in the 26s. That is a big lap time that realistically leaves Tim Marlock knee deep in it because he's not getting that extra point.
Absolutely right. He'll have potentially an opportunity to go again, but he'd have to do back-to-back push laps, unfortunately, for the Australian. Let's see what Meraki can do, because, of course, he's still in contention. Technically, I think he's coming across the line now. Can't go fastest. This could nullify that bonus point for both of our drivers. Karim 17 at the moment on course to take that bonus point in terms of Inter's pole. But there is still an opportunity for some other drivers, including the likes of Formula Kai, to manage to try and take it away, as Lens the Goat not opting for an intermediate pole run as he sets the fastest lap on a set of the softer tyres.
Probably slightly concerningly for Lens Goat, he wasn't actually fastest in the first sector, which is going to be a few alarm bells being raised there for Lens as he continues to try and get on the scoring sheet for the first time in the F1 Creator Series. Kai's going to be under pressure a little bit to get this time, but he should be okay with about 10 seconds in his back pocket. This final sector is going to be really, really tricky. The tyre temperatures are going to begin to skyrocket. You've got to be in control of your right foot because the traction zones are so difficult. If you're lazy as well, you can exceed track limits. Kai around the final corner. Does he take it away? Goes P4. He's in the 26s, but half a second down on Kareem.
We've had word from our producer, for all of you Lolly Noba fans in the chat. If he has a pineapple pizza, he will reset something. Didn't specify as to what, so I'll leave that up to your imaginations as Chappers goes fastest on a set of the soft tyres. 2 seconds to go then for an intermediate pole, and Grim 70 as he peels back into the pit lane, destroying the barrier. The process claims the final bonus point for Inter's pole of the season.
Keeping it, of course, honours even in that regard between Jake and Ben. About 0.3 per second separating them as Super Noodle Bagel finding himself pointing in the wrong direction. Tom is about 30 seconds too late to set his intermediate time, but it'll be a fairly decent idea of where his pace sits on control. It would be at the sharp end in his beautiful racing rig, but unfortunately for the Season 3 champion, slowest and by some tune.
I just want to point out to the Long Over fans chat, I can't read Italian. I have no idea what you're saying. Apologies. I'm sure it's probably something rather interesting. I can't tell you. For anyone else watching, go have a look at it. If you can understand Italian, let me know what it says. We'll carry on with qualifying for the rest of it, as Carl says, get the Top Gear translators on it. No, I don't trust them nor anybody else. Ryan 83 on the intermediates for a little bit too long. Has anyone told him that it ends at 12 minutes? I don't think anyone has.
We're going to see what he does. He'll be hoping he doesn't go slowest. Tom currently holding the wooden spoon, and Ryan doesn't go slowest. 27.6, about a second and a half down on what he needed to get that one championship point that would be his first in the Creator Series as well. Ches has invalidated through turn number 1. That is exactly the opposite of what he would have wanted to do. Very easy just to exceed the track limits ever so slightly there, getting a little bit too lazy on the outside. We saw it a lot in the real life F1 12 months ago in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I think Verstappen got caught out, Perez, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri as well, all of them exceeding track limits at some stage during qualifying.
Absolutely right. Just to keep you updated on the championship, if you are just tuning in, it's Jake that leads by 9 whole points in the championship as we head in towards the final race of the season. We've got an executive decision from Mr. Hader von der Gullis himself. He's just watched it. It will not be a reset of qualifying. You've heard it here first, folks. We certainly shall watch the clip, as we've been told by our producer in our ear. Carl, are you ready to show us said clip?
I'm absolutely ready. Ready and raring to go. Well, it's quite a contrast in fortunes from the team from Faenza. Colin over, just make it, never mind, apparently he's not. It sums up his quali session quite well. But just trying to get out of the pit lane. Now, watch his wheel inputs very carefully. That is all I will tell you. Comes up to the sharp left-hander and, well, tries to turn, doesn't really turn. In fact, wheel rotation is absolutely in the bin. And as you can see, pauses to try. His AI then gives him front wing damage in the wall, which is just the start of the comedy. And then while he's just trying to reset it all, he reverses in the pit lane, trying to make his way out, and there's your disqualification. A double rub of the salt in the wounds for one of the Italian stallions.
I think heartbreaking is most certainly the words that a few would be using to see what happened there. Tom Wilkinson, I just want to hear your verdict on what happened there.
My verdict on what happened, I think you should know that reversing like that distance in the pit lane will always get you disqualified on the F1 game. Yes, you might have your vision blurred a little bit because of what's going on. Safso goes to the top of the timing charts, first driver into the 22s. It sounds horrible, but realistically in that position you're going to have to do a 48-point turn to make sure you don't get disqualified.
Either that or burn out your tyres, which is neither here nor there for our drivers. They prepared to go on what was only an intermediate run. It wasn't going to be the be-all and end-all of the championship run, but unfortunately, as we said, these things happen. The game is the game at the end of the day, as we watch with Fabio making his way through turns 10, 11, for the first time on a set of the softer tyres. He wasn't able to set a first run, or didn't opt to set a run on the intermediate tyres, so this will be his first attempt at putting a timed lap on the board.
Back, of course, in his favoured scarlet colours, and was looking pretty speedy in the sprint as well, looking to continue some decent form. Had a bit of a stinker in Vegas a week ago, but does take over at the top of the timing charts by just under a tenth of a second. The second Ferrari of Scotty Designs makes it a scarlet 1-3, dipping his toes into the 122s, but that Vince going even faster on a 22.5. Here is, though, our former two-time champion of the Creator Series, rounding the final couple of corners, fastest in the first sector just about, keeping it pinned to the left-hand side, cutting the beam and going 700ths of a second slower than the Alpine.
Rossi coming across team radio saying, I feel like an angry swarm of Scottish bees. Now that's a throwback and a half if you can remember back to Imola. I believe it was last season when Mr. Carl Peranic was racing. Not only raced, but won as well. You got Mr. Dan Gilligan who was presenting and driving at the same time, and got rather scared when a few cars were coming at him rather quickly out of the final couple of corners at Imola. But we race now at the end, or the midway point of Q1, should I say. Watching on board with the 7th best concept, of course the best one in the Creator Series, as he rounds the final corner to put down his first competitive lap time on a set of the soft tyres. Goes 8th fastest, does the Alpine. And that will be rather pleasing for the team from the French regions. Let's see what Formula Kai could do after his controversy in the sprint race, Tom.
A fairly decent first set for Kyle, though not spectacular. It was the middle sector where he looked pretty rapid in the sprint race, of course, where he was going for some dicey and admittedly unsuccessful overtaking attempts at certain points in that sprint race. Right in the curves nicely. You don't want to smash over that sausage curb on the inside of the second part of that chicane, because it will just bounce you off the circuit, and then you get a terrible run down here, this DRS zone, into turn number 9, which is, I have to say, a really, really fun corner to drive. That horrible chicane that we had a few years ago, just get it off my screen. Got this lovely left hand where you've got to be so committed to gain as much time as you possibly can.
You're absolutely right, and of course don't rule out rain as well. We could see that later on. It's very rare that it rains here in Abu Dhabi, but never say never, especially for a Creator Series lobby that Meraki, I believe, is hosting, on a chance for a championship fight, which definitely doesn't scream rigged in the slightest at all. But we watch Kai now across the line, goes fastest to 22.263 for the Haas cars, making it 1 and 3 respectively for himself and Team Mardik, who snuck up and towards the top position. Meraki now comes through the final few set of corners as well, the double right hand as we cross underneath the hotel. Just a massive shout out again to Scotty Designs, by the way, for making the sponsor boards that you see on the screen. Meraki spent 112 hours practicing for tonight's race. Creator Series is for fun and totally chill, yeah?
Working though, fastest in the first sector, matching Kai in the middle sector, could be taking provisional pole and does. By over a tenth of a second, championship leader is the provisional pole sitter with just over 5 minutes to go. Needs to get his skates on a little bit to make sure he can get round in time for another go. But round 1 went to Meraki in the sprint. Round 2, the first runs in qualifying, has also gone to the Season 4 champ.
Looks like a man reborn here this afternoon. Can his teammate Razin Chai maybe try and throw a bit of a spanner in the works? Will it be a help or a hindrance from Razin Chai himself? Of course, a champion in his own right. He'll come around the final few corners, see what he can do, and goes 4th fastest. Couldn't quite best out Vince and Guy, but does topple Timo Mardik another spot down the championship order, or the timing tower order. And Jake comes across the radio. That's a decent lap. Well, I think it's more than a decent lap, Jake. That puts you at least, 1.3 tenths clear at the top.
Solid. And there is a bit of a gap as well between Kai and Vince of a quarter of a second, so there is some space for some drivers to try and fill that. I'm not going to call it a chasm, but a decent whack of time separating the Haas and the lead Alpine of that guy Vince. Some people were saying that Vince was only quick because it was on realistic performance. I think that is rebuffing some of those suggestions with that Vince comfortably inside the top 5 there. Very, very solid lap time for the Alpine driver. As for Team Mardik, we've said it a number of times, qualifying not really going to concern him. He's only started inside the top 5 twice so far this season. One of them was last week in Las Vegas when he was P3. Then you have to go all the way back to the season opener in Baku where he was P5.
Absolutely right. Apparently been told as well behind the scenes, Fabio is changing his equipment mid-qualifying. Obviously not too happy for the double downshift issue that he was experiencing at the start, or at least he's calibrating some shifts, is what we've been told by the man behind the scenes. Thank you, Mr. Carl Peranic, keeping us up to date with all the knowledge that is happening behind the scenes. And I think we do need to restart the lobby for if we restart the lobby for Fabio, he's having issues. I think that's how we work, right?
100%, yeah. Any driver that has issues, we need to make sure we have a duty of care, don't we, to look after them. But Scotty Designs has been disqualified. I wonder if that's for exactly the same thing that we saw earlier on. It's almost like that guy, Scotty, it's like he's listening to us. He's got absolutely perfect timing.
He does. I do wonder if there was maybe something that happened. I don't think he's streaming at the moment, but I'm sure we can probably get him in, or at least get a comment or a statement from him, Mr. Carparonica. He might send you on a bit of a mission to get a statement from Mr. Scotty Designs, by the way, just to figure out what happened to that prancing horse. We watched with Safso making his way through turn 6 and turn 7. Purple in the second sector on his opening run. Let's not get ahead of ourselves slightly, but he is making good progress.
Yeah, set that lap time to put him up into P3, filling the gap that we said between Kai and Vince. Hasn't always been a strong circuit this for our Season 1 champion, in particular in qualifying. Only been inside the top 10 once. That was P9 back in season number 4. But occupying that third spot as things stand, I don't think he's going to get another go in unless he's filled that Aston Martin up with a little bit more fuel.
Yeah, we could see that double outlap come into effect. It has been run by drivers before, of course, get the car down to its absolute minimum weight, but he's diving into the pit lane, leaving it very late indeed. And I wonder if it could be a little bit mistimed here by Safso, of course, our Season 1 champion here in the Creator Series. He does retire indeed, so won't get to run the track at its most optimal of conditions as it sits at 30 degrees and the track temperature 24 in the air, so it's quite a nice day out in Abu Dhabi at the moment. The Yas Marina hosting a beautiful venue as Len's the GOAT. Well, I believe that was Latifi's wall that he just wanted to check out. It was a star-studded icon, I believe, for the man in the McLaren outfit.
100% getting cosy with that barrier coming through turn number 14. Doesn't improve. Was 5.5 seconds down on his personal best and now barreling down into turn number 1. This does look like a fully committed push lap, as it does for Super Noodle Bagel, who does, unfortunately for himself, have a little bit of traffic just to try and contend with the Red Bull.
He certainly does indeed. Super Noodle Bagel, all the packets of Super Noodle Bagel have been recalled because of a skill issue defect. They can be returned to all good retailers. You can find the batch numbers on our website for more information. But at the moment, he's trying to qualify here.
Series.gg, people wondering why they've been recalled. Another little bit of traffic here coming into the chicane, really getting bulked firstly by this Williams, snap of oversteer as well. Not good news for the Silver Arrow, currently down in P14. The Aston Martin is going to get out of the way, but definitely compromised there running through the chicane.
He certainly will do indeed. In towards the long sweeping left-hander of turn number 9. He's got to try and keep his foot planted now until he gets his way towards turn 12. A prime overtaking spot come the race, of course. You may see a few drivers try to dive down to the inside line, but you, of course, compromise yourself as you open up turn 13 and 14 under the hotel bridge and on towards the final section of corners 15 and 16 up towards the line. What can Super Noodle Bagel do here on the final time of season 11? Can he try and improve from 14th place? No, that is where he shall stay for the time being.
Mine's 3/10, but that was a lap where he was completely out of sync with everybody else. Pretty much had traffic at every single corner. Cream 17 motoring in the middle sector, fastest time of all, but was a little bit down in the first sector. And that didn't look particularly steady, did it, through turn number 9. Bit of a whack of oversteer, just having to try and catch the back of that RB car, he said, Red Bull Racing car. Into the final sector we go, though, with the Season 9 champion down in 17th. Hasn't got a representative time on the board. A circuit that has been kind to him in the past. Barreling towards the line, goes onto the front row and misses out on provisional pole by 11 milliseconds.
Absolute close margins here in qualifying. Timo Marduk, who's done a personal best in the first and the second sectors, now making his way through into the third and final. Through turn 12 he goes. He's got to get the car rotated. You go off camber as you go through the section of corners. It's so vital to keep the car balanced as well as you possibly can. But can the 2-times champion try and challenge for the top spot? Starting from the front, not to sound too much like Will Buxton, will give the best advantage, but he'll start at best from 5th place, a minimum of 4 places behind our other championship contender Meraki, as his teammate Razin Chai rounds the corner. Formula Kai goes fastest for Team Haas. Razin Chai goes 4th. Let's see what Vince can do now as he comes around the final section of corners. Can not improve in terms of positions, but Meraki, who's played second fiddle for so long in the Creator Series, has an opportunity to come around the final corner now. Can he do it? No, he'll stay second fastest. And Formula Kai, unless we see an absolute miracle from someone further down the order, will start from the front.
Like to say, I called it. We saw how quick he was in that sprint race, and he does get into the 121s. Come on, he says. He absolutely loves it, beating the main championship protagonist. Good late lap from Kareem. Good as well from Datkovic, continuing that really strong form from the man in the Alpine car. Razinchai could have maybe been one further spot ahead. Had a big whack of oversteer through the final corner. Really had to catch the back of that Sauber car. Safso and Tiernan Marduk following in the footsteps of the Season 5 champion. Ben, going from P7 with his main rival in second. It's not disastrous, but he does have a hell of a lot of work to do.
He certainly does indeed. It's going to be an interesting run down towards the first corner, I'll tell you that. Meraki has got to try and play the patient game if he wants to try and do anything with this championship, because it is a long race ahead of him. As we all know, anything can happen when it comes down to a Creator Series race.
I'm trying to see who we're waiting for. I think it might be Lenz again, who stopped going through the 6-7 chicane. We've got the donuts once again. We're about 58 laps too early, 59 laps if you include the formation lap. But once again, the papaya car putting on a lovely bit of a show for us there. Tom, on his return, the Season 3 champion, does pick up the wooden spoon a second slower than anybody else. But remember, he is on controller, not that incredible sim racing setup that he has got.
Absolutely right. It'll be one that I think he'll cherish. It feels like a return home for Tom as the rear tyres come across Team Video. How long must I suffer, they say. Not too much longer, but maybe one more stint right at the end of the race, depending on who's still in the championship fight.
Those rear tyres, I mean, they're not going to be happy.
Not in the slightest. I think they will be returning to Pirelli a little bit more wounded than originally thought.
Getting a bit of a treatment, aren't they, in the final qualifying session. Kai on pole, though, looking for people that are out of position. Fabio looked really quick early on, P9. He'll probably be satisfied with that, considering his qualifying record this season hasn't been great. It started in the bottom 5, 6 out of the 9 qualifying sessions, Fabio, so far this season. So to be nestled comfortably inside the top 10, I think he'll be satisfied with that one. But Kai on pole, the championship leader goes from second. The runner-up in the championship, as things stand, P7.
Absolutely. Your complete order then for the race in a few moments' time. Formula Kai starts from the front with Meraki in second. Karim starts third alongside Vince with Razinchai, Safso, Tiernan Marduk, Grid Jokes, Fabio and Tukey lining up as your top 10, with Chappers, Concept 7, Jess Ball, Ryan, Supernoodle, Bagel, Chesnoid Gaming, Lenz the Goat, Tom, Scotty Designs, by the way, and Lolly Nova starting from the back of the grid after a double DNF from the Scotsman and the native Italian. But for the time being, back to you in the studio.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the last qualifying session of the year. And if you want your lottery numbers, go to T-Dubs, because he got it absolutely spot on for pole position. Formula Kai is on pole. Meraki is on the front row. But the man who is fighting for his championship is down in 7th place. Carl, you have a few clips to go through. Why don't you take us through those very quickly, and then we'll discuss the race start.
Oh, put me on the spot there for a second. Luckily, I was ready, which is good. So, first of all, Inter's lap. I mean, I've just highlighted Kareem here because this is just, it's incredible driving, really. I'll be honest with you. As he makes his way, brake marker board's already shattered. A man who's learned this season how to operate without the famous rainbow snake. We can see him sliding the rear of the car. Such confidence on the intermediate tyres. We move forwards to this turn here. The sweeping left-hander just kisses the first apex absolutely perfectly. I mean, it was a monstrous margin. He picked up Inter's pole by. Didn't quite convert it into a pole position for the main event, but even so, it is a bonus point, the last bonus point for intermediates of the season. Again, just uses the pendulum, swings it absolutely beautifully, and in the end, as we know, he came across the line having pretty much nailed every single apex. Sumptuous lap to watch, 3 purple sectors, 9/10 dropped on the 2-time champion who starts in P7. Contrasting fortunes in qualifying, we go to Super Noodle Bagel. Now, he already passed Jess Ball in terms of traffic. She got well out of the way. However, others probably weren't so kind. Tukey, lackadaisical during the chicane. You can see the wash of dirty air on the front end. Doesn't hit the first apex. Gets a slide on the rear of the car. He holds his 3.5 tenths advantage, but what more it could have been for the Mercedes man. And then highlighting Formula Kai, I was literally in the process of finding his sector 1 and 2. Because look at this 3/10 margin. That is the margin he held from the first 2 sectors. His first 2 sectors were absolutely immaculate. Credit where credit is due. In terms of raw 1-lap pace, Kai absolutely smashed it out of the park on his final lap. Meraki got close, but not close enough. Even so, a flick of the wheel into the final corner. Pole position for the taking. But how about that? In the context of the championship, all the advantage favours the Sauber driver.
Well, it certainly does. We have one final race, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a beautiful final round of Abu Dhabi to come. Is it going to be Meraki, or is it going to be Ben, or are we going to get an absolute cinema moment? We'll find it out. Let's find out with our commentator team, TK and T-Dubs.
Well, who's strapped in? Who's ready for one final run this season? What a fantastic run we've had so far in Season 11. Realistic performance showing why some of our drivers may prefer the cars that are a little less equal in performance. But today, they're all back in the same motor and under the same power train. But for one final race here in Yas Marina, everything is on the line for our two championship contenders. Meraki and Team Marduk, 2nd and 7th respectively on our grids. And it all comes down to this, with 9 points between.
Ben has never led at any stage in this championship battle. But like we said at the start, this won't be a backdoor job if he manages to steal that 3rd crown, because they were 3 points apart 3 weeks ago. Then they were 1 point apart. Now they're 2 points apart. And just today, things have extended ever so slightly as a McLaren goes trading down the barriers on the run-up into turn number 9. And Ben going aggressive off the start. Soft compound tyres, not a particularly good compound around this configuration of circuit. But he smells blood in his opening couple of laps. If there's one person that can carve their way through a field, it is Tim at Mark. If there's one person that can carve themselves into the agriculture of this Yas Marina circuit, it is clearly that Sauber driver. I don't know who it was, but going flying into the wall, full pelt.
You're absolutely right. Let's just break this down for the folks at home as to what Jake now needs to do to secure the championship right here, right now. Ben, come over to the team radio. We're going to make things happen. Well, I think fireworks are about to fly. Let's just remind you though, if Jake finishes 1st, 2nd or 3rd, he'll secure the championship regardless of where Team Marduk finishes. If he finishes 4th with the previous driver bonus point, he doesn't quite achieve enough to take the title. It is so close to the wire, as Fabio, I believe, is trying to get himself disqualified from the formation lap to reset his tyres. But here we go then. 58 laps, 190 miles of driving ahead of us, and here come the lights. And 5 lights are indeed lit here in Abu Dhabi, and we Abu Dhabi do as we go racing for the final time. And it's Kai that gets a good pull away. Our championship leader Meraki storms in towards the first corner. Karim tries it around the outside, mints towards the inside, getting not 1 but 2 places through in the first time of asking. And this is going to hamper Meraki's charge that he would have liked from the very offset. Team of Marduk's up 2 from race start, as well as he finds himself 5th, dives to the outside as they go 3 wide in towards turn number 8. And this surely is going to help the Australian, who weaves past Meraki, past Razin Chai. He now will try and get Daggo Vince on the run down towards turn number 6 and turn number 7. Can he go for a late dive? But P4 is certainly advantageous here. Side by side they run in towards the chicane, and Ben has revitalised his championship hopes with that start.
Quickly things can change. Cream 17 was so aggressive, so late down the inside into turn number 5. Caught out Tim at Marduk, but then caught short the 2 drivers. He was trying to nab and take them out of his back pocket. Gets up into 2nd place. Meraki finding himself on the all wrong parts of the racing circuit, falling down to P7. And now he's got Infratic to deal with as well into the final sector, dangling the nose down the inside of grid. Just more contact for the championship leader under the cosh massively on this opening lap.
They had to be careful there at DNF, which certainly spell a disaster for his championship hopes. But let's not forget, Team Marduk starting on the soft tyre. He's the only driver on the entire grid to do so. Everybody else opting for either the hards or the mediums to see this stint through. But I'll tell you what, those soft tyres absolutely working a dream from this race start, as the Australian finds himself in 3rd place. He's just behind Karim 70. Of course, his teammate who still leads this race. I wonder if we'll see any team orders start to get involved, as Meraki and himself have almost switched positions from this race start, I've noted. Team Marduk up in 3rd, Jake's all the way down in 7th.
be second fairly shortly, because at this stage it looked like Ben, driving a completely different race car to everybody else, got off the grid like an absolute rocket ship up into 5th position, then made the most of the kerfuffles going on in front of him. His teammate's going to drop down one spot though, because there goes Kareem 17, Ben's former title rival back in season number 9, taking the lead off the hands of Formula Kai, who's now going to be vulnerable to this former 2-time champion holding 3rd.
Has an opportunity to let Kai and Karim fight. They make their way in towards turn 8, the long left-hander. He can just sit there, be patient, play the waiting game, but he'll want to try and use the soft tyres to his advantage. We watch as Meraki is still battling out with grid jokes. Can't quite seem to clear the demon of the Aston Martin as they make their way through turn 12 now. An opportunity to look towards the insides and go underwards the hotel bridge. Meraki by the final, well, almost at the final time, whilst he manages to dispatch the Aston Martin. But my question here is how long? I think grid jokes won't be long until he's right back onto the rear of that Sauber.
Was a really good move, really clinical. Needs to try and pick up these places that he lost on the opening tour. Meraki back into 6th position. Now just has to cling onto the coattails of his teammate for the next couple of laps. Keep himself within the 1 second window of that lead DRS train and not leave himself knee deep in it, as Ben found himself in the sprint race after all of the contact that he picked up in the opening couple of laps. Gridjoke's not looking particularly quick here, and I think he's looking more behind him rather than through the halo in Fratic, who's looking fairly solid as well in position number 8. Does Jake have the DRS? No. I think that's courtesy of his teammates being tucked right up underneath the rear wing of Vince.
Yeah, Razin Jai, if anything, has hindered, yet instead of helped his teammates. We look here, Karim 17 on a dive down the inside of Formula Kai in towards turn number 6. Fabio goes for a dive on our championship leader, Meraki, as well. And he manages to make the move, stick the scarlet red prancing horse at the turn of lap number 3. Manages to make his way into 6th place. Here comes Kai though. Can Team Amadi try and follow them through 3 wide in towards turn number 8? And Ben takes the lead of the race. And now the championship chance is well and truly in his favour.
That's how you get down the inside of turn number 9, everybody. Clinical, absolutely picture book perfect from Tim Malik, stealing 2 places, getting ahead of Kai, getting ahead of Kareem, and now can try and make the most of what is left of those soft compound tyres. Razin Chai, the rear of that Sauber car, looks a bit unstable, but he was also desperate to try and put one over on Vince. Down into turn number 11, couldn't quite make the move stick. Then it's a further 2.5 back to Jake, who has got himself back into P6, but is comfortably outside the 1 second window of the group in front.
The more Fabio and Jake battle here at the moment, the bigger the gap is up to Meraki's teammate up in 5th place. The gap was at 1.8 seconds, so really advantageous for Tim and Marek here, who stands leading this front train of 5 cars. They try to peel away from the rest of the pack, but Jake is starting to burn some battery, pull himself back into DRS range, because that is going to be absolutely critical at this stage. And here comes the weaving all the way over to the left-hand side. Here's Timo Marek, feints to the right, sticks to the left-hand side. Which way will Kai go? He goes to the left-hand side in towards turn 6. Brakes considerably later. The Australian leaves him enough room. Looks for the double switchback as they run on towards the double DRS zone. This will potentially allow Timo Marek to try and come back in towards turn 8. An opportunity could present itself, looks to the inside, and I wonder if the Haas's are starting to work together here. It certainly is looking like that.
Easy pickings there to get that place back, and Kai now under pressure a little bit from Kareem 17. Meraki under pressure as well, because Infratic trying to put one over and get back ahead of that Sauber car, side by side down to turn number 12. I think Fabio is just going to be run out of road on the outside, wasn't given the time of day, and Jake able to hold firm in position number 6, but you can see that already in the live standings, as things stand, 4 points is the difference that Tim Marek has over Meraki. How quickly things can change.
Absolutely right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've still got 54 laps of racing here at Yas Marina, and who knows, we might see a late race safety car, as it is well-known tradition in the Creator Series, not by luck but by judgment. But Team Marek leads from Formula Kai from Karim 17, Danko Vince in 4th, with Razin Chai in 5th place. Meraki is 6th, Fabio's in 7th, Grid Jones 8th, Lottie Nova and Safso rounding out your top 10 at the moment. We head about halfway through the 5th lap of 58. Team Marek will of course lose DRS to Formula Kai's teammate behind, but we've seen they are starting to potentially work as a pairing. Are the Haas couple. Bender slips into the slipstream behind. Karim 17 looks for a move in towards turn 6, side by side. Doesn't look like Ben's going to try and fight this very hard, but does leave enough racing room. Ben can't afford to try and get caught up in amongst this drama. He lets Karim 17 go, but now we'll get that dose of DRS down towards turn number 8 once again.
But he really congested. Big DRS train down into P15 of Ryan L83, and drivers following very closely. 3 tenths, 2 tenths, 4 tenths per second running line astern. Scotty Designs up into 13th, getting ahead of Chappers. Tom Beaner up into P16, the Season 3 champion, disposes of his teammate for the 2 Red Bull cars 6 seconds off the back of the pack. As we say that, I think Super Noodle Bagel having something to say about it, battling away with Tom, who's lost out again to Chesnord Gaming. Look at this train of cars in the final sector, though. Kai from Kareem, from Tiamat Marduk. For Ben, just going to try and stay in contention now. Those soft tyres, you would imagine, are going to be worse than the mediums that the runners and riders have bolted on around.
Yeah, Tom being the first driver as well to pick up a penalty, 3 seconds for multiple track limits violations. Let's have a look around. A few other drivers on warnings as well. The Aston Martin of Grid Jokes on 2 warnings. Karim 17 also on 2 warnings. Up and down the field, a whole host of other singular warnings handed out to drivers. Meraki on 1, Timo Mardik on 0. As it stands as well, just keep you updated on how the track limits warnings are developing. Barely a 10th into this race. And of course, we are expecting the soft tyres to probably pit around lap 9, lap 10, whereas the mediums will be able to go considerably more. We watch Razin Chai as he sends a move down the inside of that guy Vince. Again, enough racing room given between the 2 drivers. It's fair racing here between the Kicksauber and the Alpine as they go in a bit of a drag race down towards the 8th corner on this circuit.
It's been a couple of laps coming. Raz has tried it once, twice, now thrice, and does get up into P4, and his teammate follows in the footsteps of the Season 5 champion. Meraki opportunistic round the outside, picking the pocket of that guy Vince. The Alpine dropping down a couple of spots into P6 as those hard tyres on the championship leaders car just starting to work and feel that little bit nicer.
Yeah, we saw at race start they were struggling to fire up in the nth degree. They couldn't get any temperature in the hard tyres, but now 6 laps in, it seems they have fired up to a workable and usable state, and we'll see those hard tyre runners start to try and make progress. The likes of Meraki, Safso, we got 2 key Scotty Designs, by the way, running slightly further down the order, and of course the drivers Chesnoid, Ryan, Super Noodle Bagel and I Tom as well, all of those opting for the hard tyres from race start. We've got Mr. Man Gaming 43 coming in the Twitch chat. Absolute cinema, and you know what, I agree with you, sir.
100%. Hope you've enjoyed the opening 6 laps of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, because the glove's well and truly off for the championship battle. We thought it was heading one way, then it's turned completely on its head, and now we're starting to see the effects of the tyre wear for the former 2-time champ Tiamat Marduk. Those soft tyres hanging on okay, and actually it's Razin Chai that's fallen away because he's dropped out of the 1 second window, and that could be the freest of free opportunities for Jake, not to overtake him into the chicane, but get past him definitely into turn number 9, and then have the track position through the final sector.
That detection point comes from the exit of turn 7, so Razin will have been out of the detection points. They make their way down towards turn number 8. Meraki's alongside, gets the move done as they try and swoop round that elongated left-hander. The Sabres are side by side. Surely they don't want to see this go wrong. Little bit of wheel banging between the 2 of them. Neither of them want to give this up. Meraki's ahead of the apex as they head through the right-hander of turn number 12. Still side by side. They run, neither of them wanting to give an inch yet a month between either, and Razin Chai, who knows what is on the line for his teammate here this afternoon, is not letting it go easy as he swoops around the outside, retains 4th place, and in doing so holds back Meraki by another half a second or so.
Teammate is a very loose term here. They're driving the same cars, but let me tell you, they are not mates in this scenario. Tiamat Marduk will be hoping that he can try and work with Formula Kai. Razin making it clear he's not just going to hand 4th place on a silver platter for Jake to lap up, but big slide there for Razin, clearly struggling with those rear tyres absolutely all over the place. Jake's going to have to go the long way around into turn number 5. Datgovitz nipping at the heels of the 2 lime green cars as well. Razin really getting his elbows out. Jake going the long way around, but he has managed to force his way through for the time being as they're eyeball to eyeball on the run down to the chicane.
I thought Razin had DRS. It's Meraki that got DRS on this run down towards turn 6, but he'll get it on the second opportunity. We haven't got audio on the team radios, but I can almost certainly hear the tone in which Meraki said that words that came across our screen. We saw that guy Vincent and Fabio starting to scrap it out, but Razin Chai now with his rear wing open down towards turn 8 once again. Meraki left somewhat helpless as now 3 seconds up the road is his championship rival. It's so close in amongst all of our drivers. It's going this way. That Fabio, oh my goodness, almost losing the car through that elongated left-hander. The wind must be causing some trouble for some drivers because you started to see those little corrections coming in.
100%, really struggling with that Ferrari. We've seen Razin as well struggling with the rear of that Sauber car. Something looks a little bit unstable at the back of a couple of these F1 cars. Looking at the championship picture, only 2 points the difference between 3rd and 4th. So at the moment, Jake will still be sitting pretty with a 7-point advantage over Ben. Ben, though, going really strongly, has to be said, on those soft compound tyres. Thought they would have been significantly past their best after 9 laps, but hanging on to his teammate and Cream 17, and they are going at a fairly decent lick out in front.
They absolutely are. It's no love lost between the two Haas cars. And of course, Cream 17 involved in this fight as well, as they run for the first DRS straight down towards turn 6 once again, one of the prime overtaking spots on this circuit, and equally down into turn 8, we all know and love from 2021. If anyone wants to bring up maybe some sour grapes of memories, Formula Kai moves into the lead now on lap 9. Cream 17 just plays a bit of a back marker on Razin Chai, not letting his teammates or team acquaintance, as we may want to try and call him for the rest of the afternoon, try and let any lava lost. But this will allow a double dose of DRS for Razin Chai now, as they run in towards turn number 8. He's not letting anything go. He wants to try and bring the fight to Meraki. The opening format looks towards the inside, but just had the door closed in front of him.
Jake, I can tell you will not be enjoying this. 2.5 seconds the gap to the trio in front, under constant pressure from his teammate, who again thinks about it down the inside into turn 12. Hovering back in P5 is Razin. In Fratic, we know if he senses an opportunity, if he smells blood for one of these Saubers that currently are engaged in civil war, he'll try and pick up as many places as he possibly can. Vince has gone backwards a little bit in the last few laps down to P7, but you've still got grid jokes. Lolanobu, we haven't mentioned our Italian stallion, let started from the back of the pack, already finds himself nestled inside the top 10.
Right, just again to confirm some comments that are sitting across the chat, and someone said I feel like Tom is underperforming today. You're absolutely right. That is because he's on controller this afternoon, so he's not in his very expensive sim rig that looks beautiful, has motion. No. He's decided to race on controller for this afternoon. Beats me as to why. I think he just wanted to have a bit of fun with some friends for the afternoon, which is exactly what the Create Series is all about. Let us remind you of that. You see him trying to battle out with Lens the Goat here. It's a good scrap, actually. He's doing well on controller.
Doing well at a push, being in 18th with a 3-second penalty after 10 laps, 6 seconds off the back of the group in front. Maybe we have different definitions of how well this is going. But yeah, obviously I think I speak for everyone saying lovely to see Tom back. And you can bet your bottom dollar in the voice chat, he's having an absolute whale of a time, as is Formula Kai, who retakes the lead from Cream 17. Ben, I think, is just starting to fall away on those soft compound tyres now. We know he's got a few fuel issues, that he was trying to just get back a little bit of fuel in that train behind Kai and Cream. But now it's the tyre wear that's starting to kick in. Those soft tyres will be very much second best.
Yeah, the stat comes on our screen. Tom the Bomb is back. Not full time, he's on controller. And as the old phrase goes, it's not about the points you score, but it's about the friends you make along the way. And for Tom, I think almost certainly replicates that as we see him dive down the inside of Lens the Goat, who had DRS in towards turn 8. Pulling them off into the runoff zone, and that has saved both of their cars. And again, contact between the two as they come back onto the circuit. I'm almost certain there'll be a few laughs in the voice chat here this afternoon as Tom are just reminiscing of days of old.
Ben soldiering on, by the way, but he has been caught by the two Sauber cars who have settled their differences for the time being. A safety car there would have been absolutely perfect timing for the former two-time champion. Our Australian ace currently in third, but needs another 7-point swing if he's going to take the championship off Meraki's hands. And you just have to think now, how long is Ben going to try and sit this out? Take the pain at this stage of the Grand Prix.
Absolutely right. Just again, if this goes to championship countback, we are exploring every and all possibilities. At the moment, I believe Meraki wins as they are standing third and fourth, but if it goes to countback, it would be a Team of Malik victory, as he scored second place in Las Vegas last time out, and Jake has scored 0 second places, assuming he doesn't score one today. They are tied on race wins, so it goes back to podiums, which is fascinating.
Got so much more grip, so much more confidence, so much more pace at this stage. The soft tyres, Ben pretty much running on the rims of those Pirellis, but he is able to hold track position into the final sector. I say that sliding slightly wide through turn 12. Jay's going to try the up and under, but there wasn't quite the space down the inside into 14 to try and pit the pocket of his main championship rival. Will Ben seek refuge in the pits? No, he's going to stay out once again, just trying to open the gap maybe between this group and the two out in front to make sure Jake cannot win this race. The trade-off is, of course, if Ben can win this race, that would be ideal for his championship push. Down the inside, both Saubers in there. Razin sends it to the inside. Is Jake going to fall off the circuit? Just about keeps it pinned around the outside, and all of that goings on. Razin's just had the Ferrari of Infratic. Former teammates, of course, have had a few comings and goings over the years. Now side by side into 4.
Yeah, Fabio trying to pinch the pocket of Razin Chai as they run down in towards turn number 5 here. It's going to be incredibly close. Team Meraki relegated down to 4th place, but this will benefit him and give him DRS down towards turn 6 on Meraki. Meraki stands slightly corrected the DRS zone or activation zone before Jake made that move. So Team Meraki will be DRS-less in towards turn 6, but will get the benefit in towards turn number 8. And Jake now has a decision to make. Does he try and push up towards the likes of Karim 70 and Formula Kai, or does he engage in this mortal combat that we're going to see with Team Marek as this begins to develop?
Oh, he's down the inside there into turn number 9. He's not going to fight this very, very hard, Jake, around the outside, because Ben was steamrolling in there, picking 3rd place up again. And now on the outside is Jake, going to be the outside of 11 if he can try and make it work. 5 seconds. Now the gap to the group in front. Ben defending so hard, working really, really hard. They're probably saving a little bit of fuel in this as well. Those soft tyres absolutely gone. We're going to get a live read, see if he comes into the pits here. Does he try and get shot of those soft tyres? No, he continues on for another lap, and I think Jake is not going to be enjoying this one.
He knows he's getting DRS. He knows he's still benefiting from the slipstream from the Sauber as he continues to pass, as he benefits from Jake's mistakes. Vince and Lolinoba, both of those into the pits. Hopefully Lolinoba has a better pit exit than he did in qualifying as Ben comes over the radio. Lovely stuff, although I butchered the Australian accent. Be sure can get the picture at home. Jake not wanting to go for a move in towards turn 5 this time around. He knows the DRS will assist him in towards turn 6, but look at the train of cars following him as they make their way down the first of the DRS straights on this circuit. Jake now comes over team radio. Don't think he realises how much he's ruining his race. Well, it seems to be going the way of the Australian at the moment. Now Jake moves in towards turn 6, but it compromises his exit into the corner. Compromises his exit almost certainly. And Ben will now get a run of DRS down towards turn 8 again. The Australian planning corner ahead of what Jake seems to be possibly able to do at the moment. To the outside goes the Haas car. He'll swing it around and regains 3rd place again.
I don't know if Jake is loving or hating this. Ben dropping 6 seconds to the duo in front, but holding Jake, Fabio, Razin, Gridjoke, Safso and et al. Back. If there's a safety car now, Ben's going to be absolutely loving life. He can recatch the duo in front and get a fresh set of boots on. We get the reveal again. Is he going to stay out for another lap? We'll see. We've got 2 more corners for him to negotiate on those soft tyres that are, well, almost 6 feet under at this stage. Stays out once again. He's going to continue to ride it out and try and take the pain at this stage of the Grand Prix. I've been asked why I'm calling Ben the former 2-time champion. It is because he's not the current champion, of course.
Oh, we've got a new person who's a new contender has entered the lobby. This could be interesting. They're getting a great view of this show. They've paid for general admission tickets. They managed to nab themselves a grandstand here as we see the battle between Ben and Jake continuing to evolve into turn 5 again. And all this is going to do is burn up the battery of both our championship contenders. Infratic now trying to get a nose down the inside of the kick Sauber, but of course not going to be able to try and benefit as they try and run down towards turn 6 and 7. Fabio down to the left hand side, blocks Jake from trying to make a move on the Australian, who also is blocked in at the front by Tim Marek. Bit of a wobble as Razin Chai now comes for an attack on Meraki, and it's Ben that drops down to 4th place. Fabio takes 3rd. Razin Chai still on the rear of his teammate. It's all going well, higgledy-piggledy for Meraki at the moment. He can't quite keep the car in the right place.
8 seconds now the gap, and you wonder, is this the time that Ben comes into the pits, or does he now let Fabio drive off into the sunset? Great driving. It was a bit of a kerfuffle, wasn't it, down into the 6-7 chicane. Ben is going to hold track position into the final sector. As wide goes Razin Chai, misses his braking zone by about 4 weeks there and off the circuit, dropping behind the Season 1 champion Safso. The 2 Saubs have been getting very much stuck in the first 15 laps of this race, but finally there's a car between them. And once again, Ben continues to soldier on. Razin dropping places. I think he's coming into the pits, and yes, he is.
So we've got Razin into the pits before we've had a soft tyre runner into the pits. Ben is somehow whispering some dark arts to these tyres to get them to go longer than a set of the medium tyres. But Razin knows that he's not going to get anywhere if he sat fighting in this train. And I wonder if that's wise words that Meraki could be using at the moment as we watch on board again with the Australian just behind Infratic now. So the Australian's going to get a tow down this straight that he formerly has allowed Meraki past on multiple times of asking. Of course, last time he raced here, it was a Razin Chai victory. Meraki came second, Gillen got 3rd. So both of our drivers know how this works. Ben gets past, Meraki gets past. Is he going to look for a move in towards turn 6? No, thinks better of it this time around. A little bit of contact from the front of the kick Sauber to the rear of the Haas car, but this now leaves Ben without DRS. And will have the opportunity for both Meraki and Infratic to try and make a move in towards that elongated left-hander at the end of the straight, but neither of them want to make a move. Meraki tries to hang on as Infratic tries to send a move around the outside. The prancing horse well and truly prancing this afternoon.
Ben must be running low wings, and Jake almost gobbled up by Fabio there. He's still fighting it out around the outside into turn number 12. Is he going to be given the timer down the outside? Jake slamming that door in the face of Infratic. Safso's cruised up to the back of this group as well. Then there's a 1.5 gap back to the second Ferrari of Scotty Designs, by the way. What does Ben do on this occasion? He continues on for another lap. Let's keep it going. 16 on the board now for those soft compound tyres. Surely we're getting close to puncture territory at this stage.
Oh, he's come over team radio. Let's see what he has to say. He can't overtake me. What? I think there's an element of surprise and awe in that voice at the moment. Again, no audio, but you can imagine what Ben is saying in that cockpit at the moment. I think he's astonished that Meraki's not able to not only not make the overtake, but not make it 6. We go into turn 5 once again. Whoa. Now we look from Fratting down the inside of Meraki, sends it deep, and manages to get the move done. Meraki now left a little bit vulnerable as they'll chase down towards turn 6 for the 16th time in this race. It seems to be chopping and changing left, right and centre because nobody quite knows which way they're going to go. Fabio now goes later on the brakes, tries to get the better of Team Malik. Does Meraki try the same thing? No, but he might try the double switch back in towards turn 7. The King Sauber has to get good traction here, but the DRS will lend itself to Team Malik as they run down towards turn 8. They're both with the rear wings open. Fabio now left a little bit stuck in the mud as they try and run down towards the final few corners. And once again, Team Malik holding on for dear life as Meraki sends it wide and can't quite get the better of the Australian.
Still joined at the hip, still an opportunity if Jake is brave into turn number 12. Ben throws the defensive shape. He's going to be sliding out wide because he's got absolutely no rubber left on the rims of those soft Pirelli tyres. Oh, we're down the inside into 14. There's just about enough space for the champion leader, but again, Ben trying to rebuff this assault for as long as he possibly can. Jake is around the outside, and now we see the former two-time champion diving into the pits, but he's got a 3-second penalty. We know that's something that can happen on the pit lane entry, and Timo Mark has fallen foul of it. He's not the first, and he's definitely not going to be the last this evening.
Well, here we go, and I think, yeah, as Alex said, we're well aware of what can happen at pit entry. It was an unfortunate set of circumstances for Timo Mark starting to write a new book, a series of unfortunate events. He's renamed himself to Lemony Snicket, and we have got confirmation that will not be removed no matter what happens throughout the course of this race. It's an unfortunate circumstance, but one that will not be taken off the end race time. So if we see a late race safety car, which has been a Timo Mark favourite, it may, well, hinder him in the long run as he gets out just ahead of Chesnoid Gaming. Notably, look at the gap from Timo Mark all the way back to Razin Chai, who is all the way back, well, about 3 or 4 cars length.
Yeah, I think Razin timed it bad. He got spat out of the pits right into this massive queue of cars. Ben's filtered out right at the front of it, used the DRS to get past Chappers, and then charge off into the distance, making the most of the fresh air that he's got in front of him. Scotty Designs debating 14th and 15th with Chesnoid Gaming. The Ferrari has stopped, the Red Bull racing car hasn't, and Scotty does put Ches into his back pocket and picks up that 14th spot. Now, how close can Ben get with the helping hand of DRS here on the run down into turn number 9? Definitely running low wings. He's gaining all the time. He is going to send it down the inside of Chappers. The Mercedes sees it coming, tries to hang it out around the outside. Two-time champ versus a driver yet to finish on the podium in the Creator Series. And it is Tim McMahon that soldiers on through up into P11.
Absolutely. Chappers only on one lap older set of tyres than Timo Mark. We see grid jokes in towards the pits, and Formula Kai and Karim well and truly in the distance, 11.5 seconds clear of our championship leader of Meraki. That's an astonishing gap and almost could build up a pit stops gap should we see a safety car or a virtual safety car being deployed here at the Yas Marina circuit. It's about a 38% chance in real life. If you want to try and calculate the safety car percentage in the Creator Series race, it's probably about 150% in a Creator Series lobby. For the time being, Timo Mark sits 10th. 7 places down from his championship rival.
Blink and you'll miss it stuff, isn't it? The first 18 laps of this season 11 finale, remember? Jake versus Timo Mark in the championship. We've seen games before. It's not new seeing games at Abu Dhabi. 2016, 2021, multiple other scenarios that we could throw out there as well. And we're seeing it here in 2025 between Ben and Jake. That is why there's 12 seconds between Kai and Karim out in front, and then that secondary chasing peloton of Infratic, Meraki, Safso, and Tuki, with Ryan Elliott 3 a further 4 seconds back.
To the long race, of course, opportunities for all of our drivers to pick up penalties, even on that pit approach. We know the 2-stop is probably going to be the preferable strategy for most of our drivers here today, so they may have to chance it a couple of times at that pit entry, and you never know, Race Control could be feeling a little bit, what's the word, a little bit spicy, trying to hand out penalties left, right and centre. But for the time being, Meraki's, marches on here on lap 19 of 58 as Ryan L83 becomes the next driver to pick up a 3-second penalty for track limits. That now makes 4 across the board as Tom has an almighty 9 to his neck. If you can look down in 20th place, he's not having the best of returns, but I'm sure he is enjoying it nonetheless. All of our drivers just proceeding through there. Most of them have made their pit stops all the way from 8th place down to, down to 15th place, the likes of Grid Jokes. Just making sure they've done at least one pit stop already, at least another one to come, I think.
100%. And it is interesting. Ben hasn't managed to shake Chappers off his tail, and he is 9 seconds behind Datkovitz, who has already stopped in this race, as has Lolinova. Those two effectively 9 seconds ahead of the former two-time champion. So just a little bit of work that Ben needs to do to catch back up to them. As you can see Ryan there, struggling for traction coming through the chicane in that Papaya McLaren car. Then he's got Lolly and Vince on the fresh set of boots. Hard tyres for the RB car, medium tyres for the Alpine of Vince, who's locking himself into at least a 2-stop race because he started on that yellow stripe medium tyre as well. Jake on the hards has managed to shake Infratic off his tail. Second and a half separating third and fourth, with Fabio left to deal with the Season 1 champion in Safso. And here's Razin Chai, who is just a little bit stuck at the moment. He's surrounded by drivers who are on similarly aged tyres. Ben on 2-lap-old, Chappers 5, Concept 7-3, Razin here on 4. He needs to try and pick off the drivers one by one without a significant tyre offset.
You're absolutely right. He went for that earlier undercut to try and get out of the original train when he was battling his teammate, battling Fabio, battling Timo Marduk. And actually all he's done is he's not kept an eye on where that pit stop was going to bring him out, and it's brought him out right in the middle of another train as they make their way through the final corner to start on to lap 20. We're approaching, or just crossed over the threshold of 1/3 race distance. Razachai's got some work to do if he wants to try and catch back up, because Timo Marduk is roughly where he would have been sitting if he'd probably made a little bit of a better pit strategy in the earlier stages. But still a lot of drivers to pit, still a lot of drivers to enter in to pit road. Safso's got the better of Fabio though. This is a resurgence from our Season 1 champion. We're starting to see a little bit of a comeback from Safso. We also see Lolly Nova getting the better of Ryan L83 and Karim 70 as well, taking the lead of the race off of the hands of Formula Kai as they make their way through turn number 8 in towards the third and final sector. I'm sure in the next few moments' time we'll be able to throw it over to Carl and clip the corner. Not quite yet. We'll wait for confirmation that he is ready and able to receive and have a chat with us. But for the time being, we'll keep an eye on how it develops over here. We've got confirmation from Carl, who's in the corner. Carl, what can you tell us?
Well. What a 20 laps it's been, and long may it continue. Well, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, we have this start. Soft compound tyres. I mean, you can probably tell where this is going already. Ben immediately jumps Safso off the line. 2 compound softer was bound to happen. Gets down the inside of Razin, and then he takes advantage of this next corner. So, biffs the back of Kareem slightly, just a little bit friendly there. But it's the send down the inside here from Kareem 17. As well, Jake said he had nowhere to go. He probably didn't have anywhere to go, but Kareem nonetheless moving up to P2. Ben uses the momentum marvellously, moves up to P4, just weaving about in the straight. He said it was a hello to Jake, so that tells you the story there, but gets Vince later. A cracking start from the Australian. Meraki, on the other hand, his POV of the triple send or the triple wide into the left-hander broke late enough as it was. Said to Vince, he apologised to Vince saying that Karim was just absolutely sending it, but correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I mean, he didn't cover himself in glory either, to be honest with you. He didn't really play the self-preservation game. Lucky to not get damaged, but regardless, still in this race, running in the podium places at the moment, and enough, crucially, for the championship. We then have Razin versus Meraki. God, these two are no holds barred, the Sauber drivers. Absolutely immense stuff. No love whatsoever. Of course, not a Constructors' Championship, so why would there be a reason to leave any quarter? Meraki on the inside, Razin with no battery at all, just sends it round the outside instead. An absolutely titanic tussle between those two on the road, through under the hotel section, and I tell you what, that is a 5-star overtake if I've ever seen one. A 5-star battle, completed by Razin Chai into the penultimate corner. But of course, the big one, lap number 16. Ben said he was going to stay out as long as it took for Meraki to overtake him. On lap number 16, finally he managed to get past. Ben said, into the pits we go. Doesn't cut the white line, nothing auspicious or anything like that. But as soon as he crosses that horizontal line, it's a 3-second time penalty. And, well, I would hate for the championship to be decided purely on an in-game penalty. But for now, at least, the ball is in Meraki's court.
Well, that it absolutely is. Thank you very much, Carl, as always, giving us that ear to the ground that we sometimes aren't able to see up here from the commentary box. So you're back with myself, Tom Knight and Tom Wilkinson, for the rest of the race commentary. And it is starting to unfold in a way that we weren't necessarily expecting, is it, Tom?
No, Tim Marnik is currently the fastest man out on the track as things stand. As you can see, the drivers dueling behind Concept 7, battling away with Razin Chai. Raz has just been bolted in this traffic. Ben came out right at the front of the train. Razin came out of the back. He's had to work his way through, and now he's 6 seconds off the back of the former two-time champion. The Australian ace that is charging, taking 3 seconds out of Longnova and out of Datka Vince, who's battling away with Infratic, the Scarlet Ferrari, yet to stop in this race. They dropped 5 seconds to Meraki, who's going on about his business very, very solidly so far. 21 laps on his hard compound tyres, faster than the leaders by about a couple of tenths every single lap, just eking that gap back down.
Formula Kai still leads as well, who's had an impressive run so far. Started from the front, of course, was the fastest man in qualifying. Britain 7T started from the second row, 3rd place, and he's managed to jump up towards second, and Meraki lost 1 position in the grand totality after everything was said and done. Now finds himself in 3rd from 2nd. The most impressive drive that I want to talk about, Lolly Noba, after getting disqualified in qualifying, now sits in 4th. He's gained 16 positions, Tom.
Net race leader. He's managed to get ahead of Vince. He's obviously undercut Ben as well, as he was staying out for a long old time on those ailing soft compound tyres. He's now 2 seconds ahead of Vince. We said Lolly has been the form horse coming into this season finale. He's been so quick in the second half of the season. 2 wins out of the last 4 races. He's continually taking chunks and chunks of time out of the leading trio.
Absolutely right. Tom gets another 3 seconds to add to his totality and his total for the end. It's, I believe, still on 9. Oh, it's now 12 seconds with 15 warnings to his name. And the yellow flag being flown in the final sector. I believe that is the Red Bull of Tom, just proceeding slowly as they make their way through. We ride on board with Lolly Nova, of course, your Nets race leader at the moment. The car behind him, Dekovic, also has pit slightly earlier on lap 12. So they went 4 laps shorter on a set of medium tyres than Ben did on a set of the soft tyres. We see Razin Chai now starting to make moves on his hard set of tyres. He's opted to go into them after running the mediums for 14 laps. Of course, they've started to fire up now. He's got some heat and some temperature into them and can start to make his way towards Timo Mardik, who still has that 3-second penalty looming over his head.
3-second penalty or not, he's absolutely rapid at this stage of the race. Just took a couple of laps to bring those hard compound tyres in, but he's flying comfortably, the fastest man out there as things stand, as Razin does finally dispose, like you said, of Concept 7, can try and chase down the former 2-time champion, the former Season 5 champion, Razin Chai, who at one stage was looking like he was going to be a championship protagonist, but missing the race a week ago after winning in Suzuka put him out of the equation, leaving us now with just Tim Mardik versus Meraki. The gap between the two protagonists, Ben has obviously already stopped, Jake has stayed out, 8 seconds the gap between them. Ben has managed in 7 laps to take, about 15 seconds out of the Sauber.
Starting to make somewhat inroads on the cars in front of him, but I don't think it's going to be enough to try and get within DRS in the appropriate amount of time. You can see the fastest lap on the screen, at least for half a second or so, as it was, I believe, Jess Ball that holds the fastest lap at the moment. And I think our data might be slightly wrong, because somehow she set a 1:23.5.
Wow,
Razin Chai there. Razin Chai with a 1:26.409 was the official fastest lap according to the game files. I'm assuming Jess Ball's lap was an invalid one where she crossed into the pits, probably slightly presumptuously. That would be my only assumption at the moment. Meraki now, a championship leader, peels into pit road. The question marks will surround where he's going to come out.
Interesting. Didn't expect him to come in that early. He's pitted first compared to the drivers in front who are on the medium tyre. So you'd have expected Jake to go slightly longer. And he's going to put himself a fair way behind Ben, but we've seen the advantage that Ben has managed to pick up on the fresh set of boots, taking nearly 20 seconds out of Jake since Ben pitted 8 or 9 laps ago. It's been consistently 2 seconds a lap faster, consistently the fastest driver out on circuit, though. Concept 7 and Razin Chai now both matching the lap times set by our Australian ace, as Ben's cruised up to the back of his former teammate Infratic. I think he's going to fly past down the back straight, and does indeed move back up inside the top 5. He's only 5 seconds off the back of Lolly, who is at this stage still the net race leader, 12 seconds off the lead.
do wonder if anyone told Meraki that we're not in Qatar this weekend. You can take the tyres longer than 25 laps after he pits exactly on lap 25 for a fresh set of the medium tyres. Again, almost committing to that 2-stop strategy to see out this race, as will pretty much the entirety of the grid. But it's so interesting to note that so many drivers here have opted to take the harder tyres at a lesser distance than Kai and Karim are taking the mediums at the moment. They've both run 24 laps on a set of the mediums, as has Infratic, whereas some drivers pit as early as lap 16 on a set of the hards. I'm looking at you, Mr. Scotty Designs, by the way, who's running in 9th place at the moment. So the strategies are really up and down the field. I think a lot of drivers are maybe taking influence from the days of realistic performance where some cars were just worse on tyre wear.
I think Jake's also realised he's been significantly undercut by a lot of drivers. Safety car is out. That would be absolutely terrible timing for the championship leader as Safso pings in a purple lap time, 26.1, significantly faster than what we've seen so far. Should take the 1:23 lap time, the electric lap from Jess Ball out of that extra point that will be handed out. Jake cruising up to the back of Chappers, but in front of the Mercedes, albeit 3.5 seconds in front. A big train of cars from Concept 7 down to Tuki. The championship leader is going to have to work his way through.
He absolutely is indeed. I wonder how many drivers will try and block his path. I didn't quite mean literally Chappers, who turned in for the corner, as Meraki, I think, was almost a day late and $1 short. I think the Bayless will certainly be at his door for that one as he turns in towards the 5th corner, and we'll get the DRS down towards turn 6. But Meraki making a decision incredibly late to go for that move, to the point where I think Chappers had almost certainly decided on turning into the corner already. Safso comes over the team radio. He's sat in 11th place at the moment. Make that 10th place. He tries to make the move on grid. Joe saying pace is good. Well, Safso, you know what? I agree with you. Your pace is always good.
Season 1 champ going very, very nicely. But yeah, that wasn't a move from Jake where he was thinking that he's got a championship to win, was it? Very, very late. Day late and $1 short. I think he came from his overdraft. That's how short of money he was, charging down the inside into turn number 5 there, but has got himself some track position as Karim 7T electing a lap earlier, maybe a couple of laps earlier than Formula Kai, to get shot of his medium compound tyres, and you would assume take the hards to the end of the race.
Yeah, surely this will be Kai and Karim banking on that one-stop strategy. It'll be an interesting one to see how it plays out in totality. But look at the gaggle of cars in front, I believe led by the Red Bull. That's going to be, well, Karim 70 as they peel their way out. I'm trying to figure out who's in the lead of that train. I think there might be Tom leading this battle. Here's a lap down. But it will be Concept 7 at the front of that train, just behind the likes of the Red Bull that has almost certainly been out to see himself for Chestnut Gaming as they make their way through turn number 5. But Karim 17 comes out in 6th place, which is interesting considering how long they're able to take those tyres. That's all thanks to Ben's defending in the earlier stints here. Razin Jai making moves past Concept 7. Will he try for a lunge here on Karim 17, who won't have got the tyres warmed up to a nth degree yet? But no, he plays the patient game. Sat in 7th place as Sato makes away past his good friend Scotty Designs, or does he? As Scotty tries to fight the move back there, wheel to wheel as they run down towards turn number 8. A fantastic scrap between the two of them. Sato now makes the move past our Season 1 champion, revitalised in Abu Dhabi.
And all of this scrapping, it could be a friend or it could be a foe of Meraki. If he's careful, he can pick his way through the traffic and just try and make up for the mistakes and the battles and pick up the scraps and the pieces of what goes on in front of him. But if they're fighting so hard, you can see Tuki tried it around the outside of the grid jokes, wasn't given the time of day and was run out onto the curb. Jake could lose a significant amount of time when he is comfortably faster than Ben at this stage on those brand new mediums by the tune of about a second a lap.
Tell you what, Kai's in pretty much slap bang at half race distance as we head on towards lap 28, 1 lap down from half race distance to be exact. Razin Chai, I think, going for a move on Formula Kai as they peel out the pit road. Karim over the team radio. Most of these guys do stopping, in my opinion. Don't need to be Sherlock to try and figure that one out, but it will be interesting to see how it does work out. Kai out of the pit lane immediately on pace in towards turn 5 to the inside of Razin Chai, who looks potentially for the switch back. He's going to sit behind for the time being and bask in that slipstream that they'll get on the run down towards turn 6. The DRS also beneficial from Karim 7T in front. Now everybody has started to make their first moves. Everybody on this field, bar one driver in Super Noodle Bagel, has made their first pit stop in this race, and for some of them it will be their last, Tom Wilkinson.
Certainly will, and look at in front, two drivers that you think will be going for the 2-stop. Tim Marduk is now hot on the heels of the Italian stallion. We were at stages questioning the strategy from Ben, backing everybody up behind, trying to take those soft tyres as long as he possibly could. He's now got himself in a very, very strong position, with Meraki hobbled being in a big, big train of cars in the lower reaches of the top 10. Still a big opportunity here for Ben to make hay while his main rival is just a little bit stuck.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to try and work his way through. He'll have to maybe try and work Lolly Nova. Of course, Lolly Nova literally has gone last to first at the moment. We are expecting a whole host of pit stops still to come for a number of drivers, and who knows what could cause a safety car or who could cause a safety car as we get towards the end of this race. But we have seen everybody do their first pit stops, bar two drivers, the likes of Tom and Super Noodle Bagel. I think for the moment we're going to throw it over to our presenter and Mr. Alex Heron, see what he's been seeing behind the scenes.
Well, thank you very much, TK. And yes, it has certainly been a very exciting open this Grand Prix. 30 laps in, and we've seen all sorts of action as Meraki once again maintaining another move up at P9. But yes, from the start of the Grand Prix, we saw Ben go very aggressive on his set of soft tyres, which I think a lot of people were questioning, considering the, well, the wear in this year's F1 game and just Abu Dhabi in general. But he made it work, backing up Meraki and absolutely frustrating him to the point we saw over that team radio. He's now on a two-stop strategy, along with Meraki, who we believe is also on a two-stop. But there is going to be a very interesting end to this Grand Prix. If Ben has to make, well, he has to make another pit stop, we reckon, but will he be able to catch Meraki and, of course, pass him with now that 3-second time penalty? There is a few other storylines going on in this Grand Prix. A lot of people fighting for that mid-pack. And, of course, Razin Shai is not afraid to get his elbows out against Meraki, who is currently finding himself in P9 with Razin in P7. Lolly Nova and Tim Marduk, your two double stoppers as we go down the inside in the final corner between the Kick Sauber and the Alpine of Concept 7. That guy Vince running very well up in third place at the moment as well, about 4 seconds off the front two. Right now he's looking for could be a third place finish in the Drivers' Championship, which would be a fantastic result for that guy. So there is the championship leader, and Meraki knows he has to make up some more places. He knows Ben's got another pit stop, but it's going to be very interesting to see if he can make it. And let's find out if he can, going down this back straight now. With his DRS open, Kareem makes up another move up into P4. As he goes down the inside looking for a move, it doesn't make it on this occasion. Of course, they may be wearing the same colours, but they are definitely not teammates, as you saw earlier with their battling. But it's been a fantastic opening part of this Grand Prix. As you see the two Kick Saubers getting closer and closer to each other. But that has been the Grand Prix so far. Ben has the advantage on track, but of course, there is still tyre and pit stops to come. Oh, as the two Kick Saubers have a little bit of touchy wheel time as they try and battle each other into the middle sector. Meraki making that move. I'll throw it back to our commentators, both Toms in the box. TK, you came back at the right time, my friend.
Certainly did, as we do watch both Saubers once again having a bit of civil war amongst themselves. Just to keep you an update as to how the race is developing. Even with that 3-second penalty, the championship would go to Team Marduk by a singular point. He would finish second and gain 20 points. Meraki, if he finished 7th and gained an additional 10, it would be 1 point in the favour of Team Marduk. What a wonder story that would most certainly be if we now finish the race on that 31 of 58. But Meraki, all he has to do is get back into 6th place as a minimum, should Ben finish second here this afternoon. But it is all still to play for, with 28 laps of racing to go. Tom Wilkinson's back with us as well. Tom, what are you expecting so far from this race? We do watch Meraki get a move on Saubers.
I'm expecting a safety car at some stage. Haven't had one as yet, but we usually seem to get one in the last 10, 15, 5 laps of any Creator Series race that we do get. Tim Martin's still sternly examining the rear geometry of that RB car. You'd think the two leaders will have to stop again. Dakavitz definitely will have to stop again. Meraki, debatable. Can he do 34 laps on a set of the medium tyres? You think he should be able to manage that as the fuel starts to burn away. And you have to say, Jake, he's done a really commendable job of working his way through the traffic. Hasn't cost himself too much time. Still only 10 seconds off the back of Ben, with better tyres still at this stage.
He certainly has, indeed. It's all still to play for. We enter onto lap 32 of 58. Most of our drivers still expecting to run the two-stop, with the exception of Karim 70, who sits in 3rd place, and potentially Formula Kai as well, as they make their way through from 5th place. Of course, Kai did qualify from pole position, has looked like he's got good opportunities and good pace around here at Yas Marina, but it is all still up in the air. Who knows? Should we see a safety car come out? Bert Mylander to make an appearance here in the final round of the Creator Series would only be apt as we go under the beautiful sponsor wars designed by Scotty Designs, by the way, in beautiful Creator Series red as they run down towards turn 6 and turn 7. Just to keep you updated, of course, intentional safety cars, as always, outlawed after lap 48. We've got about 16 laps until we are expecting that ruling to be removed, or, well, enforced, shall we say, towards the end of the race.
100%. Late race safety car. Bad for Tim at Marduk. Good for Meraki. It'll bring him back towards everybody, and Ben will be hobbled with that 3-second penalty that he has looming over his head. Formula Kai disposed of the Alpine of that guy Vince. Just that battling when Kai came out of the pits has just left him on the back foot ever so slightly, with Cream only with 1 lap older tyres and 3 seconds up the road, and with some very decent pace as well. RB Haas, your leading 4 cars. Then it is Vince, and then the championship leader, who, as things stand, will pick up his 2nd Creator Series crown.
Absolutely, it's going to be an interesting one. He hasn't won a championship since season 4, if you can remember, to cast your minds all the way back there. Of course, Ben picked up his 2 championships, season 6 and season 8 respectively, so still lots to go in the bag. We can, well, if you think back to season 6 where he won it on the final corner in France, we now head to Abu Dhabi, where he could, you never know, win it at the final corner here, as could Jake as well. We see that guy Vince in pit road for what will be his 2nd stop of the afternoon, opting for medium hard in terms of race strategy. So these hard tyres now expected to take him 25 laps until the end of the race. Everybody trying to, well, figure out the fastest way to get around this circuit, I think, Tom.
The 2 stops are going to have a lot of overtaking to do in the latter stages of this Grand Prix, which is going to make for a fascinating chase to the flag, and of course chase for that championship, whether it is going to be going to Australia or to England, with Jake now up into P5 courtesy of that Vince pit stop. Jake, I'm fairly sure without any safety cars he will be running to the end of the race on those medium tyres. 34 laps is a hell of a lot of laps on a set of mediums, but with the fuel burning off, as we said, that should be enough just to get him over the line and hopefully complete that one-stop strategy. Ben, 16 laps on his hard compound tyres, a further 25 needed. That is also going to be a hell of a lot of laps and a very, very long stick. Can he make them last to the end? Not 100% sure.
I think that's going to be the question on everybody's minds. Whilst we have a bit of a lull in the racing, we're in this opportunity here where Ben could try and take advantage of the lead. I've got a bit of a learning opportunity for everybody. Fun fact for you, the gravel, the original surface here at Yas Marina, is made of 850,000 tonnes of grey-whack aggregate that was shipped to Abu Dhabi from Bayston Hill Quarry in Shropshire, England. Oh, we got a safety car. There we go. That ruins that. Well, VSC, my apologies. Virtual safety car is deployed, so we have to slow down to 60% pace, and beautiful track graphic comes up for us. But yeah, it's the same surface that's used at the Bahrain International Circuit, which gives it a really high level of grip. But yeah, it's shipped all the way from the UK to Abu Dhabi, which is something I found rather fascinating.
Yes, and I also know that you've been holding on to that stat for the entirety of this broadcast so far, desperately trying to find a way to chuck it into our little Creator Series tidbits. Virtual safety car, though, nobody out of the leaders has been able to benefit from this as yet. If it stays out for any longer and Super Leader Baby picks up a drive-through penalty, that is not good news at all for himself. As I say, it might be coming in. It comes in immediately, and Tim McMahon still on the back of the lead RB car. The only problem is he's got his former championship rival in Cream 70 all over the back of him, ducking, weaving and sending it down the inside. Already on the button is Cream 17 down into turn number 9, and does push the Haas driver down into 3rd position. On the money there was Cream, and getting up into 2nd place. Ben, I think he's still going to fight it. No, wasn't quite close enough for Cream. Not satisfied with 2nd. Got a lot of pace in the back of that V-Cub car and challenging his teammate for the lead.
I think that caught a few drivers out with just how short that virtual safety car was barely half a lap or so. Managed to get going rather promptly, did race control, but Ben will happily sit on the back. But look at Formula Kai starting to make inroads on his teammate, as is Meraki. 3.2. The gap between Meraki and Formula Kai at the moment, a further 1.8 up the road. You can see the distance between the 2 championship contenders, and that 3-second penalty is going to be hanging over that Australian's head like a hangover on a Sunday as we make our way through over half-race distance. That's 35 of 58. Let us know in the live chat who you are rooting to win this race, who you're rooting on to win the championship. Karim 70 almost takes out the rear of Lolly Nova there.
Cream is definitely back, isn't he? We've seen performances so far this season where we have seen Formula Cream back in action, but now Crim17 finally hitting his stride in the second half of the season. Even on equal cars, looking so strong, isn't he? Team at Marlett fancying it around the outside there, Lolanoba. No, sorry, the inside of Lolanoba. The Italian stallion almost falls off the circuit, returns the favour. Punch to punch as Ben falls off the track on the exit of the chicane. And here comes Formula Car. He's trying to move on a couple of cars into turn number 9 in the sprint race. Didn't exactly go to plan. Ducking and weaving all over the place is the former two-time champ. Sends it down the inside of Lolanoba. Has Lolly got anything to fight with the up and under? No, he's got a big handful of oversteer as Kai falls off the circuit in sympathy.
I think it was Scotty designed for the course, that virtual safety car. He was into the pits, new set of mediums for himself, but we're hearing reports that Ben could potentially have some damage. We'll wait for confirmation from our man in the corner who has all the knowledge on the ground, and we'll wait to see what he can come up with. But Lolanoba, as you said, now having a bit of a stalking horse between the two Haas cars as Crim17 charges further and further up the road.
Trying to look to see if he's got any damage. Visually, that front wing does look to be intact, but it might be, you know, that sort of lime green colour where you can't see any major damage from the visuals, but it is just giving you a little bit of understeer and making your life that little bit harder than it needs to be. Formula Car, remember, pitted significantly later than Lolanoba, charging using a bit of air. It's going to send it down the inside of the second V-Carb car, and that is clinical from Formula Kai, chasing, remember, his first victory in the F1 Creator Series. He's been the bridesmaid so many times in his Creator Series career. Is this the opportunity to try and grab his first crown with Crim17 a further 4 seconds up the road?
We'll wait and see how this one unfolds. Will Kai play the ultimate wingman duties for Team Amatic, who we are hearing has damage in front, wing damage to be precise. So one of the Houses slightly wounded, one of the Houses had a choice to make here as we make our way through the rest of the race. Kaiser in for himself as he's decided, swoops around the outside of Team Amatic. We have more yellow flags in the second sector, turn 7, and that looks to be, I believe, Concept 7 who's had a bit of a moment, or Tukey who's had a bit of a moment, and it will be the Williams, I think, just getting going once again. So unfortunately, no need for anything further than just a localised yellow flag on this occasion.
So just 3 seconds now separating Ben and Maraki, coincidentally, the penalties that Ben currently has looming over his head. You would think he's going to have to make another stop. Whether he's going to be goal hanging for that safety car with just over 20 laps to go, that remains to be seen. We just have to wait and see how Tim Marlett plays this. He played a blinder to get himself some really strong track position, had to make Jake work for it back through the traffic. But very shortly they are going to be fighting once again over the same pieces of tarmac. I don't think Jake is going to be quite as respectful as maybe he was the first time they came across each other in this race.
I'm hearing mixed inputs from chat here. Some are saying Ben's got wing damage. Some are saying he's got side pod damage. I wasn't aware we could get side pod damage in the rules and regulations of the Creator Series.
I didn't think we had realistic damage on.
No.
I mean, fascinating stuff there. If he does have side pod damage, then I have no idea how he's managed to do that on reduced damage. But that would be a real kick in the teeth because his pace has been so strong. He doesn't want to have that handicap of multiple bits of car sustaining significant damage.
So Larry in the YouTube chat is lying to me. They can't get side pod damage. It must be front wing damage on Tim Marlett's car. We almost have some news coming in from Clipboard Car. We'll wait just a few moments until we throw it over to him. But look at the like of Lolanoba starting to make inroads once again to Tim Marlett, who I think will be hoping for a safety car here. It doesn't look like major front wing damage because neither end plates are missing by the look of it. You can see both of them at least sitting well and truly intact on that on the Haas car that just passed by in front of Lolanoba, but Maraki's still making inroads, but he is under pressure himself from Safso, our Season 1 champion, as they approach, 20 laps to go in this Grand Prix. It is going to be a photo finish, everybody. Of course, we have got 10 laps until intentional safety cars are out the window, as Tom picks up 10-second penalty for ignoring blue flags and is off the circuit as they exit through turn 7. That puts him on a grand total of 28 seconds worth of penalties. Congratulations, Tom. But for the meantime, we're going to throw it over to the man who's got his ear to the ground in more ways than one. It's Clipboard Carl.
Welcome back, everybody. Gather round in Clipbook Corner. First of all, we cast our minds back to lap number 30. This is Maraki. I mean, if you ever wanted a visualization of how powerful the new mediums were, he was carving through the traffic. Not just on Razin up ahead, but on everybody else as well in this mid-pack. Razin just has a bit of a snap out of that sweeping left-hander. Maraki, again, car made out of tungsten, fair play to him, this time much more aggressive, going into the right-hander, chops off the opportunity as there's a V-carb, absolutely scything past the Haas. That is Lolanoba. Excellent stuff with the DRS dosage. So Maraki, much more ruthless, exactly what he needs to do. Kai, how he turned up so far behind, well, we make our way over to the hotel section. However, it wasn't a 5-star stay of delight. As you can see, that is not my computer freezing. That is Kai's computer freezing. That is lag issues for the Haas driver. Hence why he shipped, excuse me, just a few seconds to Kareem 17 and why he is playing some catch-up. We then move on to this one, though. You're all waiting for this one. Ben versus Lolly, lap 35. How did he accrue that damage? You're about to find out. Through to the chicane, we don't go, but now we do go. Kareem absolutely... Well, the slingshot was ridiculous, quite frankly. Into the chicane, though. Ben knows he has to get a move on with this. He wants to keep the pace as much as possible. Still really low down on fuel, by the way. But down the inside he goes. Yes, he brakes. They almost chops his front wing off on the diffuser of Kareem 70. A little bit of argy-bargy. Opens up the corner to leave a tiny bit of space for Lolly. However, Lolly just goes hopping straight over the sausage curbs. And as a result, that is lime green damage for the Australian sensation. I'll be completely candid about this. I think it was just clumsy from the pair of them, quite frankly. Yes, Ben needed to get a move on, but you'll see from Lolly's POV, absolutely sends it. And, well, Lolly does stay turning in, which is slightly interesting, to be honest with you, but we'll sweep on from that. The point is, doesn't leave much space on the outside. It's Lolly just not hitting the brakes, though, and jumping over the sausage curb. Two wrongs definitely don't make a right, and that was the bigger wrong of the lot. Lollin over, hops over, and gives the championship chasers some damage. But why we had the virtual safety car, it was because of this. Grid jokes we ride on board with. Scotty, we don't have his point of view, but this will tell the story. Tyres are getting worn. Heads are being lost out there. Here at Yas Marina, and out of the final corner, slams the foot flat to the floor as much as possible, and that is a meeting with Barry R. All in an instant. It might have been a bit of a limbo. We had to wait to get to this point, but suddenly this race is exploding into life again.
Well, it certainly has, Carl. Thank you very much for keeping your ear to the ground for everything that is going on. Tim Mardick with that 3-second penalty still looming over his head. I think that will be the big talking point when this race concludes. We have just over 18 laps to go in this Grand Prix. He sits just one place ahead of his championship rival, who will be absolutely licking his lips at the moment, feeling the opportunity that is about to come his way. Ty Ben on championship wins in the course of the Creator Series. Both of them, as it stands, will be on 2 apiece. But who knows? We can still see our good friend Barry R come into the picture and ruin it all for some drivers. But Tom Wilkinson, how are we looking in terms of strategy for Meraki? What's the game plan sat in that cockpit now?
I think Jake doesn't have to be too proactive at this stage. He can react to what goes on around it. Ben, it's going to be a long old stint to get those hard tyres to the end of the race. 40 plus laps. Nobody's got near doing that thus far in the race so far. We're only at lap number 40. So tall order for Ben to stretch those tyres to the end of the race. You would imagine, because he is just starting to struggle, you can just see the rear of that car a little bit unstable, not quite doing what he desires. You think he is probably going to lose track position to G8, to Safso. But if Ben does want to make a stop, there are much bigger gaps in this train, 12 seconds in particular, between Jack Gavins and Chappers, that if Ben does want to stop, he can try and filter into and then charge back towards Jake in the latter stages.
I think if memory serves me correctly, Jake is going to almost certainly have to make another stop. There's 17 laps remaining. He's done 16 already on a set of those medium tyres. So I think the expectation would be at least a 2-stop for Meraki. Ben, if he wanted to, could potentially try and expand those hard tyres out. They won't feel very good at the end, but there is a potential there to convert this strategy into the one-stop to see this race out if he wants to try and maybe trip Meraki up over his own well-being, shall we say. But it's all still up in the air. We could still see those safety cars come into fruition, because of course lap 48 would be that stalking point, that moment that will be crossing the threshold. And I wonder if there are a few drivers that are piloting their cars at the moment that maybe want to have a little bit of influence on the championship, some would say, Tom.
Yeah, Ben also won't want to blink too early. He knows that he's had luck in previous season and previous championship campaigns where he's boxed and then a safety car comes out 30 seconds later. And I think he'll be well aware of the fact that if he does pit now and a safety car comes out within the next couple of laps, he is knee deep in it. You can see the live standings there. 7 points separating Meraki and Tim at Marduk. We said that Ben is going to need a favour in this race. He's running out of time. He needs to try and pull a punch from somewhere to try and react to this really good race and really good strategy and really good stint, I should say, from Jake.
Yeah, of course, those standings notwithstanding the penalty that is being held to Team Marduk as well. That will be applied at the end of the race, but as it stands quite literally and metaphorically in the race at the moment, with Ben in 4th, Meraki in 5th. That is how the championship standings will look. 7 points between the two of them going in the favour of Meraki. It's all closing down to the final few moments in battle. There are some great battles in amongst the field. The likes of Vince and Concept 7, both Alpines putting pressure on Fabio as well for 8th place. You've got the likes of some other drivers in and around the field. The intervals are starting to work their way up as Grid Jokes gets the better of Chappers as well, who's in towards pit lane, which we would see if the penalties weren't on the screen.
If the championship protagonists are going to the end, they've got a big problem, and that problem is that guy Vince. 10 seconds further back down the road, but he's about 2 seconds a lap faster at this stage of the race and will catch and most likely pass in the closing stages. Yellow flag is out. That is Scotty Designs retiring, and there is your safety car. That is why Tim McMardock was hesitant to box, didn't want to get off the tyres too soon, and he has now an opportunity to equalise things with Jake strategy-wise and sprint to the finish with 15 laps to go.
Well, here we go then. It's going to come down to a sprint race until the end. Almost everybody will put a fresh set of tyres on to see this race out, and I think we're getting a little bit of deja vu to seeing scenes like this before, especially at Abu Dhabi. We got Bruno Man United saying, absolute joke of a league, letting people intentionally cause safety cars. Well, firstly, you're wrong on 2 points. One, we're not a league, we're a series. And two, you have no idea that Scotty didn't bin that car by accident. You're just assuming because that fits your narrative, so enjoy that.
100%. Don't call out our Mean King Scotty Designs without the referential evidence to back it up. I think that is the best way to put it. This will, of course, also eradicate the lead that Dream 17 Formula Kai had built up. 11 seconds clear of anybody else. In a league of 2 and a club of 2 as Ben getting that front wing changed. He's happy to relinquish a bit of track position to maximise the downforce he can get on that car. That means Jake should be in front. Razin also changing the front wing on that Sauber car. Ben's still in the pits there. That looked like a very, very long stop. Well, there we go.
I think that's just maybe a bit of desync on the side of Tim McMurray, but he has managed to rejoin the pack and will do. Just in 7th place, they'll have Safso between them. Of course, Safso and Tim McMurray good friends, and Safso opting for the medium tyres. Everybody else, pretty much with a few exceptions, opting for the hards as well. Chesnoid Gaming's gone for fresh mediums. Super Noodle Bagel's gone very bold indeed and opted for a set of the soft tyres, which of course, in theory, is possible. We look at the likes of Lenz the Goat and Tim Mardick. Both of those have taken their soft tyres 16 laps in this race, and they will be able to do some under little pressure in terms of course, lower fuel loads. They won't put as much pressure during the safety car periods, but they are going to be stressing those tyres to an absolute extreme here.
100%. State of play really, really interesting. Vince staying out, so he's got 10 laps already on his set of the hard compound tyres. You've then got Jake ahead of Safso, ahead of Ben, Lol and Ober in between them, and the Alpine that stayed out as well. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Jake or Ben, obviously, to win this race. Ben more so because he's got that 3-second penalty. I find it doubtful he's going to be able to run and pull 3 seconds over the group, so they're going to be fighting over, at best, 3rd, I would say. Then Ben just needs a little bit of help from somewhere to see Jake fall down the order, get that buffer of 9 points that he can manage to pull back. With that penalty he got, I'm pretty sure that guarantees as well he's not going to get the cleanest driver award, which is another point that is going to be so valuable.
Cleanest driver at the moment, I can give you my best prediction. We'll go to Lenz the Goat, who has actually got 0 warnings and 0 penalties. We've got a drive-through penalty for Concept 7 for speeding under the safety car, so maybe next race or next season we'll see Concept 8 coming out, and we are being told Lenz is AI, so it won't be given to him. So the next best driver is the pairing of Jess Ball and Chesnoid Gaming, both on 1 warning, in addition to, I believe, Dakai Vince also on just a singular warning, as is Scotty Designs, by the way, but of course he hit the wall. But he is in the Twitch chat, so we have been told that he is in absolutely okay condition, not needing to be referred to the medical centre for further scans. Scotty, it's always good to see you in the chat. I hope you're doing okay, and that crash wasn't too hard for you.
2 drive-through penalties handed out, by the way. Concept 7 with 1, and Super Noodle Bagel with a second one, and also slamming it into the wall.
Oh, hello, we've got Williams F1. Have they taken over our team radio? They've said, is anyone up for a LAN event?
Hijacked.
I think we might have been. Who knows? You know what, Williams? You are watching see Super Noodle Bagel absolutely thunder himself into the barrier. I'd be up for a LAN event. I could be tempted.
Does sound pretty fun, has to be said. We also got a lovely look at Scotty's Creator Series barriers that we saw there. Lovely view of that. A Super Noodle Bagel pile drived himself into the walls, but was unsuccessful in removing any of his wheels. Jess Ball into the pits to get shot of a set of hard compound tyres. Super Noodle Bagel finally manages to rip the carcass out of that Mercedes car and end his day 15 laps early.
We're being told Scotty is in the medical centre right now. He's having some medical grade fluids to make sure that he's feeling okay. I've been told some IVs to make sure that he's just, hydrated enough to make sure he gets himself back to his hotel at the end of the night. So good to see Scotty Signs in there. Hayden Connor saying remove concepts drive-through penalty. Who's left the session?
Ben's left the session.
Dear.
We've seen earlier in the season he's had some internet issues. Concept 7 has retired as well with that drive-through. Fingers crossed Ben can get back in before the restart, which could be this lap, but with the way that the field is still spread out, you've got 2 Red Bulls in the second sector still. You've got a Williams of Jess Ball still in sector 2 as well. Ben's internet has dropped. Stream has crashed as well, so this is deja vu from, a few weeks ago. Monaco was the big one where Ben was having so many internet issues. I think 3 or 4 times his stream went down, his internet dropped out. So touch wood, everybody, that we can get our 2-time champ back in the session.
Well, he is back in the session as we say that. But hello everyone from Ben's stream for the time being. Thanks for tuning in and coming to say hello whilst Ben gets himself sorted out. And the safety car peels its way down towards turn 6 and turn 7. He is back in the session. Whether he can get back in his car, rather promptly, that will be to be decided. But you can see how spread out the field is at the moment. There is a lot of opportunity for the safety car to go on for a little bit longer until everybody gets themselves into that chase pack. I wonder if we might see it go one more lap if we're waiting for the likes of Chesnoy, Jess Ball, Lenz the GOAT, who is AI, or what I'm being told, and Tom as well, to make their way back to the back of the pack. And of course, I think Jess Ball is making her way through the final corner on towards that lead lap. We'll wait for that message from Race Control, because it normally will come as you enter into the third and final sector, but it has yet to be displayed, which gives me a little bit of quiet confidence, Tom.
100%. What we should bear in mind is the safety car can be called in basically as the safety car arrives at pit lane entry, which means you've got about 5 seconds to slam the anchors on and prepare everybody behind for the restart. So we just need to hold our horses, because the safety car, we do know, can come in very, very late and also ignore drivers that haven't caught up yet.
It certainly can do. We see Ryan LA3 has yet to catch up around the final corner, and that pretty much sums up the safety car will not be in this lap. So we've got another adventure around the track, another 3.281 miles, if you want that in kilometres, 5.281 kilometres to go until we see our way through towards the green flag running, which will leave us with just about 11 or 12 laps to go here, Tom. So a good opportunity, a good lap distance for the mediums to run. Hard tyres will probably take a few laps to warm up as well.
100%. Looking at the tyre strategies, a lot of drivers have favoured the hards. Inside the top 10, there's only the Aston Martin of Grid Jokes and then Safso, who are on the medium compound tyre. Safso's hand was forced because he had gone hard for his first 2 tyre strategies in this race. So the medium's not a particularly popular tyre, it has to be said. We saw Ben coming over the radio saying the hard is definitely the compound you want to be on, much more comfortable on that compound of tyre as well. So that probably explains why people just don't fancy the yellow stripe medium tyres, and it's not just Abu Dhabi where those mediums aren't a great race tyre.
You're absolutely right. I'll present to Alex Herod, asked in our little chat behind the scenes, can he have the track length in feet and inches? Now, you know what? I'm going to absolutely honour that. That is 17,323 feet and 8.16 inches. You're welcome, folks at home, who've learned just a new fun fact about the Yas Marina circuit that you absolutely will never need in real life. Safety car will be in this lap as we get a fun fact about our race leader at present, Karim 17. He's a big fan of cats, domestic cats. Go and ask him at twitch.tv/Formula Karen now with mainly exclamation marks on 1-1, where our producers probably forgot to press the shift button. But we are preparing to go racing once again. Green flag conditions will lend themselves. I think we've only got 1 driver to make their way up to the back of the pack. That will be Jessica Ball, if memory serves me correctly. But Karim 17 now controls the restart here, Tom. Whether you think he's going to go surely final corner.
You'd think so. There's an opportunity to steal a march, and with 12 laps of a sprint to the flag and a championship to decide as well, there is so much at stake. We've had so many interlopers coming and going in this championship battle, haven't we, this season? But from the ashes of Alex Gillen's title defence once again emerges yet another England versus Australia, Meraki versus Tiamat Marduk scrap for supremacy, and going slightly early there is Kareem 17 before we get to the penultimate corner, pinning to the floor of that RB car and trying to get away from Formula Kai, who is going to be battling very, very hard. They've been the fastest two out there this evening, and then it is that guy Vince who might be the bottleneck on those old hard compound tyres.
Absolutely, the battle well and truly on. Meraki has the track position advantage and the penalty-free advantage, but let's not forget, he's on 3 warnings. He's somehow survived to make his way through, so that penalty could come his way as well. Safso now attacks. Our championship leader at the moment in towards turn 5, gets the move done. Ben goes for it as well. They're side by side, and he's not going to give anything up as they run down towards turn 6 and 7. Now Tiamat Marduk has a chance. He has a run in towards the chicane of corners. They're side by side. Who will be later on the brakes to decide, surely, what could be the championship? Tiamat Marduk to the inside. Meraki has the opening for corner for turn 7, but Ben will have the run now towards turn 8 and 9.
The opportunity Ben needs to get his skates on here. He has to beat Jacob by a few positions as well. Meraki, surely, he's got to defend this. Ben looking for the smallest of gaps down the inside into turn number 9. We can't see where they are with the cameras, but I think the Haas has come through. Yes, he has. Jake has run off the road in frantic slides past the pair of them. Razin Chai passing his teammate as well. Jake's got to fight this Season 4 champ versus Season 5 champ teammates. A very loose term to use because for the entirety of this race, sinking their teeth into one another. Grid Jokes fancies a run at the championship leader as well. Ben into 7th, stays in 7th. Jake tumbling to 9th.
Again as well, one quick trip off the track for Meraki will result in a 3-second penalty coming his way. I'm almost certain of it. So there's still opportunities for Ben to get this race off, get the championship win. It is quite literally hanging in the balance. We've been told Tiamat Marduk has damage once again. He got it repaired at the first time of asking when the safety car came out, and almost immediately again he's got damage. And Razin Chai right on the back of that Haas car will try and see what he's got. Front right end plate missing. Surely that's got to be game, set and match here for Tiamat Marduk.
Especially with that 3-second penalty. No left hand, right hand end plate, I should say. He's now fighting with one hand tied behind his back. Big battle going on for the final spot on the podium as Dak Govins gets gobbled up by Lolanova, gobbled up by the Season 1 champion Safso as well. Twice he's finished 4th in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Hasn't finished on the podium at this race, but huge opportunity with the Italian stallion. Sat just in front of him.
Absolutely, we're on lap 48 or 58. It will be 10 laps to go when we cross the timing line next time around. Meraki sat in 9th place. This will be enough to secure him the championship, and he knows he can sit pretty at the moment because he knows the championship will well and truly come to him. It's been a fantastic fight all season long, and now he's just got to hold on for 10 more laps of this race, 30 more miles to try and navigate around Abu Dhabi, because the race that hasn't or could have been going the way of Tiamat Marduk seems to have crumbled quicker than a castle made of sand.
But Ben is not getting bogged down with this front wing down. He's still glued to the rear of the pack that sits behind Safso and P3, who has got up into the podium places at the expense of the Italian stallion Lolanova. As we suspected, Kareem 17, Formula Kai, they have the pace advantage over everybody else this evening, have checked out 2 seconds ahead of this chasing peloton. Jake still sat behind his teammate, knows he doesn't need to take any undue risks here because he is going to become a 2-time Creator Series champion. As things stand, there is so much at play and so much at stake in these final few laps. In frantic fighting for a spot on the podium as well. Dak Govins' tyres are ailing as he loses yet another place.
Absolutely right, as we run down towards turn 6 and 7 again. Watch the Alpine on the back of Infrati. Will they look for a move? Meraki's coming over the team radio. What was he trying to do? There was no gap, exclaims the Kick Sauber driver, who is still stuck behind his teammate but knows he does not have to go anywhere. The race again coming to him in the instance. And we still watch that guy Vince, who's got Tiamat Marduk behind them. Will they help or hinder the championship contender? Safso dives down the inside of Lolanova, picks up a 3-second penalty for doing so. And surely that's going to hurt any chance that he has of standing on the podium here this afternoon.
Ben will like that. That is a car that he can now definitely beat in a straight fight with a 3-second penalty for both of the two former McLaren drivers. Razin Chai thought about it around the outside of turn number 12. There wasn't the space there to challenge and try and steal 7th place away from Tiamat Marduk with the Season 5 champion all over the rear gearbox. There's no front gearbox, I should say, as well. All over the rear of the Haas car of Tiamat Marduk. Razin Chai is definitely going to make Tiamat Marduk's life very, very difficult in the last 9 laps.
Certainly is indeed, and if you're thinking anything otherwise, you have not been watching Creator Series before, and if this is your first time here, firstly, welcome. You've joined at quite possibly the best time, because you're on for championship fight as it does stand, and the two drivers, 7th and 9th respectively. I say there's Timo Martin dives from quite literally out of nowhere down the inside of that guy. Eventually does rather well to stay out of the way. Razin Chai follows him through, and I wonder if the Australian is having a bit of a resurgence here. He knows what he's got to do, the difference that he's got to try and separate himself from, but it could be too little too late here, Tom.
Exit stage left, that Govins pulled out of that one very, very quickly. Saw the attack from Tim McMartin down the inside of 5. Didn't fancy it one bit as Ben has got the bit between his teeth despite the significant front wing damage that Haskar is currently holding. Still debating 3rd and 4th. Sapso and Lolanoba on the outside into turn number 9. Charges the Italian stallion, but there's a little bit of contact once and twice, and Sapso sent spinning round, and that is going to see him tumble outside of the points paying positions.
Oh, so unfortunate for Sapso. Just tried to go on the edge a little bit too much and has paid the price, unfortunately. But this opens up an opportunity for Lolanoba to go from last to a podium as it currently stands. He's 3.3 seconds off the back of Formula Kai. But as they continue to run through, Kai sets the fastest lap of the race. Fabio will be itching out the bit to try and get that podium away from the V-Carb driver.
He's had so much strife this season, Fabio. So much bad luck as well. Best finish of 4th in Suzuka a couple of weeks ago. Would love to round off the season in his favoured scarlet colours with a podium finish. He knows that Tim McMardick isn't really going to beat him with that 3-second penalty. Got the 2 Saubers behind, but Jake looks like he's pretty happy just to sit and watch and wait and see what unfolds in front of him, and then maybe react if Ben finds himself in the unlikely position that he could pick up the title.
It is looking more and more unlikely as the laps continue to dwindle down. There is an opportunity still standing in the present. Should Meraki make a mistake? Let's not count that out completely, because it could happen with the penalty that is still hanging over Timo Martin's head. Meraki would have an almighty disaster of a remaining 8 laps, but with how hard himself and Razin Chai have been battling, quite literally nothing is off the cards here, Tom, because we've seen championship rivals fight, we've seen teammates fight, we've seen, as we called them earlier, team acquaintances fight, but I think this is far from over here.
Yeah. If you look up mate in the dictionary, you won't see a picture of these 2 drivers. Razin and Meraki have been going at it hammer and tong for the entirety of this 51 laps that we've had so far here at Yas Marina. The sun has set. It's Groom 17 Formula Kai who are glistening out in front, streaking away from the rest of the pack. 4 seconds now the gap. We have a yellow flag. Just hold your horses there, everybody, because Tom and Lenz the Goat have become entangled in turn number 9. Tom with yet another penalty, racking them up like they're going out of fashion. But we do get underway again without a virtual or full course caution.
Very fortunate, I think, for those up at the front. Maybe not as fortunate for Meraki, who would have liked the bunch to group up once again with only a few laps remaining. It would have been an opportunistic move for him, but then again increases the risk level as we get towards the end of the race. There's absolutely zero chance of Timo Martin's penalty being removed. For those of you still asking in the Twitch chat, it's not going to happen. You can stop asking, you can stop wasting the breaths, because all the penalties never get removed. Have never done in Creative Series history. Unfortunately, maybe unfortunately for Timo Martin on this occasion, it is luck of the draw.
Could still finish 7th in this race. I know that's not going to pick him up the championship, but Vince's tyres falling away very, very quickly. 2 seconds separating Meraki, and now Grid Jokes, who pushes the Alpine down a further spot. If that gap just continues to extend, then Ben could be smelling a potential opportunity if things go awry for the former Season 4 champions. Infratic examining the rear of that Lolanoba car, all over the back of the Italian stallion through the final sector. Didn't quite find the space to fit a Ferrari Formula 1 car, either down the inside or around the outside, to steal 3rd place off his hands.
Pays off. Grim 70, I think, will almost certainly take the race victory here this afternoon. He's still 8/10 clear of Formula Kai. Both of those opting for a late call onto the 2-stop. They're running the hard tyres, as are the remainder of the top 7, all the way down to Meraki. Grid just down in 8th, running the medium tyres, splitting the rest of the pack all the way down to 11th place, who opted for the hards for this safety car restart. But we watch Fabio now trying to chase down Lolanoba for what he believes could be his podium here this afternoon. He said right at the start of F1 25, you can cast your mind back about 6 months or so, that this was his game, and I wonder when we're finally going to start seeing what he was seeing back in July.
Picked up a podium in that first race in Spain. Remember all those weeks and months ago. Has only been on the podium once since then as Fabio, but this is a huge opportunity. But Infratic it's a tall order because Lolanoba is going to fight this very, very hard indeed. Here comes the first scrap. Fabio finding space, the smallest of spaces, to the inside of the run into 9, switches to the outside and having to dance the long way around. Are they going to tango and fall off the circuit? It's Fabio slightly wide there, but he charges past the Italian stallion. Infratic for the first time today finds himself situated on the podium.
He certainly does. He managed to make it chance at the final time of asking. I wonder how hard Lolanoba is going to try and attack our native man from Portugal. He now resident in Germany, but he'll try and defend this like his life. It will be trying to hold on to the podium as much as he possibly can, but he's got to remember the gratitude, the monumental battle that is happening behind him, which is still both championship leaders.
100%. Ben now needs a minor miracle, or in fact a major miracle, with the way that this is shaping out. Vince is falling off the face of the planet, nearly a second off the back of grid jokes. He needs to hope that a lot of drivers continue to fall away with that Alpine car, and then something can happen in front. He's not going to finish first or second unless Kareem and Kai collide in the closing 5 laps of this race. 6 seconds the margin. They have been a class above in this race. Fabio's going to come under pressure here from Lolanoba. Does he want to take it into the chicane, or does the Italian stallion want to wait? Timo Monic doesn't want to wait. They were almost rammed into the back of Lolly, who's in 2 minds about sending it up the inside of Fabio, and that could see him pocket pinched here. They return the favour from about 20 laps ago when they were bumping and grinding through the chicane. This time Lolanoba just about holds on, but they're eyeball to eyeball on the run into turn 9.
Still not over side by side, as it's going to be Timo Monic with the outside line, tries to swing it. Lolanoba leaves him just enough room as he tries to swing around the outside line. He'll turn himself to the inside as they run through 10 and 11. Timo Monic, a categoric move from himself to try and regain one hand on the championship. But I think it could be too little too late as we cross under the hotel bridge once again. He'll sniff Fabio just in front of him, but the Haas car, with the damage that he sustained from the safety car restarts, surely will be hurting too much to put in a bid here.
They've got 2 Saubers now queuing up to try and relegate him down 2 further spots. Yellow flag is out once again. Tom and Lenz the Goat have become entangled, this time in the 6-7 chicane. Just got to be careful, shouldn't be a safety car at this stage. It can come out on lap 56, I believe. There could be a 1-lap safety car, but then you have to have 2 laps at the end of the race for green flag running. But you have to commend Tim Monic and Lolanoba there. Fantastic stuff into turn number 9. There was literally no more space on the inside for Lolly's car. Ben judging it absolutely perfectly and getting 4th place for his troubles.
Can we see Meraki hold on to where he is? Because I believe he's just got enough points to try and hold on, even if the Kick Sauber picks up a penalty. He's been sat on 3 warnings since the safety car restart. He's been picture perfect with his moves, not extending one tyre outside of track limits, because that could blow this whole championship wide open and be decided quite literally on penalties as we make our way through. Lap 55 of 58. We've got 3 laps to go when we cross the timing beam for the next time around. I think a lot of our drivers will be hoping, begging and praying to see that checkered flag fly. There'll be a tall order for all of our drivers to try and make it through, and I wonder if there were any pilots sat in their cockpits going ground control to Major Tom. Can you hear me?
7th place at the moment is the worst that Ben's going to finish if things stay as they are. 3.2 seconds the gap between Meraki and Grid Jokes. That'll mean Jake in P6, Ben in P7. It'll be the 3rd race in a row that they finish line astern in the results page. But Ben needs to try and find something in these last 3 laps. Otherwise, that 3rd Creator Series Championship is just going to be falling by the wayside. Needs to hope and pray for something to happen in front of him.
Of course, even if Meraki picks up a 3-second penalty here, he won't drop a position, but Ben will drop all the way down to 6th place, which will almost certainly secure it for Meraki. It will be maybe a bit of a tactical issue for Meraki if he wants to try and push a little bit too hard, or maybe gets pushed a little bit wide by his teammate Razin Chai. But I don't think he's concerned on trying to battle Razin in front of him. He knows what's at stake. He knows what he could lose out on, I think, is the grander way to look at it. If they try and bring the car home, he knows that where he's sat at the moment is more than acceptable to win this championship. A hard-fought victory over 10 rounds of the series that brings us home to Abu Dhabi to round off the Series 11. And of course, us here in 2025, we rejoin in 2026. It's going to be a fond farewell, I think, for a few drivers over the Christmas period.
100%. We still need to focus on this battle out in front. Cream 70 has won a race in the F1 Creator Series for the 3 seasons that he has been a part of previously. Only a sprint victory to his name at the moment, and he's got 2 more tours of the Yas Marina circuit to go before he does pick up the victory in the season finale, as he did in Season X, winning in Las Vegas. But Formula Kai has never won in the F1 Creator Series. Started from pole position, Kareem managed to get a leg up with the strategy game. Kai's now got 2 laps to try and put that RB in his back pocket as the championship battle goes on behind.
Certainly does indeed. They'll be battling out for race win and for pride of place amongst themselves. That top step of the podium certainly seems to shine a little bit brighter when you're standing atop of it, especially here under the lights in Yas Marina. We see Formula Kai with DRS on the run down towards turn 6 and turn 7, the chicane, the complex of corners. Kai goes for the move in towards, and I wonder if this is a little bit of an over-ambitious move for Formula Kai. He's now left Karim with a dose of DRS down towards turn number 8, but also the opportunity to just sit in behind and wait for next lap, wait for that final opportunity to make the move. But Karim's not playing the waiting game. He goes for it into turn 9 and retakes the lead of the race almost immediately as Timo Marduk is in a podium position, folks.
It's still not enough though, realistically. He needs to finish 2nd if Jake is going to finish 7th in this race. He's 1 place shy on the road. That 3-second penalty, as things stand, not going to make 1 jot of difference to the championship table. Fabio maybe just for 1 second thought he could try and nab 3rd place back into turn number 12, but thinking better of it. Right at the back of this train is the current championship leader, the former Season 4 champion, who is 1 lap away from becoming the 3rd Creator Series double champion.
He is a vested table of drivers that have had fantastic successes over the years. Of course, it's an honour to win 1 championship, it's a privilege to win 2, and it could have been an opportunity for Ben to settle his name in Creator Series history by winning a 3rd here this afternoon, but it doesn't look like it's going to be, albeit somewhat out of his control, I think, at the end of the day, but one that he'll look back on and realise that it is certainly possible to be able to come back from. As we make our way on towards the final lap of the race, we watch for the race lead. Formula Kai diving to the inside once again of turn 6. I wonder again if this is a bit of impatience for Formula Kai. He'll charge down towards turn 8 and turn 9. This will give Karim the opportunity for the race lead, almost certainly the last of the DRS zones here on this circuit. Karim looks right, switches left. There's wheel banging between the two of them. Wing damage for Karim, and Kai tries to squeeze the V-carb as close as he could to the wall, but Karim manages to hold on for the time being. They'll run in towards the final few corners, the final sector now, and can Karim try and hold on for a race win here under the lights to be back-to-back winner of the season finale in Creator Series Season X and Season 11, and it will be Karim 7T who rounds the final corner first. Under the lights, the fireworks will fly, and he is the winner of the Abu Dhabi race. But we look further behind for our championship contenders. Timo Marduk, who handed a 3-second penalty, could not win it. But for Meraki, it was so nice. He had to do it twice. He is a 2 times Creator Series champion.
Congratulations to Jake. Season 4 and Season 11 go to his name in the history of the Creator Series. Great battle on the last lap as well between Karim and Kai. A little bit naughty maybe from Kai, just moving about, and gave, I think, Karim a little bit of front wing damage, so he did a very good job to hang on to it in that tricky final set. The Timo Marduk drops down to P7 with the penalty. 6th for Meraki means he does pick up that 2nd Creator Series championship. But once again, Tom and Lens the Goat getting in town, getting entwined, and getting associated with one another, going through the 6-7 chicane. Kareem 70, we have done it. First win of the season, ending season 11 as he means to go on.
Certainly one that he'll remember, and I think certainly one that Timo Marduk will remember here this afternoon. Maybe not for the right reasons, though, as he finishes 1 place below Meraki, who comes over the team radio. 2-time champion, anyone? Oh, there'll be celebrations in the Meraki household later this afternoon. I'm almost certain of it. Champagne are flowing, not only up in the team suites, but I'm sure back when he reaches home base as well. A fantastic hard-fought victory. Over 700 days ago, he won his last back in December of 2023. He now adds to the tally as he wins his 2nd in Season 11 in 2025. A fantastic championship fight from the young man who now joins the Hall of Fame for those drivers with not 1, but 2 championship victories.
Patterns go out. Clap your hands. Jake, Ben, excellent job. Gave us some good entertainment as well throughout this race. But in this Ashes battle, it is England that come out on top. The penalty in the end didn't make any difference to the championship with the third place. It wouldn't have been enough for Ben with Jake coming home in 7th. It would have been. He does join Ben and Alex Gillen as the two-time Creator Series champions. And all of it done on equal cars in this final race. If people did miss the title in the wildcard, we are on equal cars this season. So if you're blaming realistic cars for this result, then you are slightly misinformed. The cleanest driver goes to Kareem 70, Formula Kai picking up the fastest lap point as well. Both of them were very much in a league of their own. And driver of the day, I think we can all agree, goes to Lolanoba. Didn't quite get the podium place that he had in his grasp, but from the back of the grid to P4, excellent work from our Italian stallion.
And he was indeed. And to run through your complete finishing order for this afternoon, it's Karim from Kai, from Fabio as the podium, with Lolly Noba, Razin Chai, our championship leader and winner, Meraki in 6th, Timo Mardik, Vince, Chappers and Grid Jokes as your top 10. Tuki, Safso, Ryan L83, Jess Ball, Chesnoid Gaming, Lens the Goat and Tom finished 17th. And your DNFs from the afternoon, Concept 7, Super Noodle Bagel, who's been banned in 7 countries and called in for recall. And our meme king himself, Scotty Designs, by the way, who has been checked out from the medical centre, and we've been told he is okay and sent on his way with a dram of Scottish whiskey. But that's all of us from here in the commentary box. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, TK and Tom. Wang, congratulations to Meraki becoming a 2-time Creator Series champion. Carl laughing at me, just completely messing up my words there instantly because I was not prepared for that. Thanks, TK. But yeah, Carl, you've got a lot of clips to go through very quickly before we get our chaps in for interviews. So why don't you pick your few favourites and we'll get started on those.
Oh, I do. All right. Well, let's begin with where it all sort of unravelled again. But it just was not his day today whatsoever. The game penalty, signed, sealed and delivered it really. But it was this move right here. So remember Kai from the sprint race? Well, time for a bit of deja vu. If Ben spots any gap, he will go for it. Rule number 1. If you didn't know that, this should indicate that to you. Tries to go down the inside. Naturally, it's got such a compromised line. Always going to be contact. There's your lime green damage. From Meraki's POV, I mean, it's about as good as it's ever going to look. He leaves enough space. There's enough space to take the curves. Make no mistake about that. But that was the end of that. Ben, though, not willing to let it go, though. Here he is. That guy, Vince, has got wing damage at this point. Still with that 3-second penalty. Nothing to lose. Burns a bit of battery and then goes for the absolute kamikaze. Vince scared out of the way. You can see him turn out of the corner. But nonetheless, a daring, if not a slightly dastardly dive bomb from Timo Mardik. But when you have the championship on the line, pretty much anything goes. What I will say, though, let's see what the battle for the lead looked like. Let's see what it looked like. I'll show it from Kai's POV first, and then I'll show it from Karim's POV, because he did this on the previous lap before the end as well. Played it very, very smartly indeed. So, Kai burns all the battery, tries to break the toe firstly. Karim goes down the inside, and I'm watching Kai's inputs at this point. It's that little jink there on the steering wheel to the left. A little bit naughty, that, as Gary Lineker would say. As you can see, just that little jink there to try and deter Karim, I guess, but you've got to hold your line consistently at that point. Ultimately, well, it's all very clumsy after that. As a result, you can see front wing end plates go flying. That's Karim with damage. As, well, Kai closes the door, it seems like, from his POV. We'll watch it with Karim, though, to verify the case. So, he did this on the previous lap as well. Burnt a little bit of battery. Starts saving now, though, when he knows Kai's going to get past. Kai burns it a little bit more. A little bit of a lock-up. Karim judged the switchback better on the previous lap, but regardless, will have that momentum. Ungodly flicks of the wheel into the chicane, but does get on the power pretty well. Blazes on the overtake button. Will have the DRS. Kai saves it relatively early, I assume, to try a maneuver into Sector 3, but nonetheless, Karim feints to the outside, dummies it to the inside. Masterful racecraft from the V-Carb driver. It's this move hit there. That's the jink of the steering wheel that Kai put on. You just have to hold your trajectory at that point, because it's not predictable. Not at that speed and not that late. Karim 70 as a result. There's the damage. And you'll see, well, on Kai's POV, the front wing end plate comically skating through. Kai actually makes a mistake all on his own. It's all a bit clumsy. But that ultimately is the move that wins Karim 70 the race. Kept it on the bitumen. Exactly what he needed to do. Last from me, though, our championship winner, another two-time champion, history made in Creator Series Season 11, round the final corner, and on the whole, a relatively reserved reaction at first. To get it over the line, it was a long slog out, he got held up, there was safety cars, there was some interesting manoeuvres, but he finally made it. Meraki joins our two-time champion collection. What a race that was.
And it certainly was, Mr. Carr. But yeah, thank you very much for your beautiful clips in Clipbook Corner this afternoon. And we've got two people in the interview box, and we're going to bring in, of course, the two-time Creator Series champion to start with. It is Meraki, also known as Jake, also known as many other names in many other circles. Congratulations on your two-time World Championship. Obviously, maybe not everything could have gone to plan in that Grand Prix, but you picked up enough points to beat your rival to the title. The sprint race, first of all, went perfectly. I mean, P2 on that last lap probably is the best you could have hoped for. And then coming away with a very good result in the Grand Prix. So take us through it, Jake.
Oh, I mean, the sprint race. The sprint races this season, I've got very either lucky and I've got P2 in Monaco of all places, or I've DNF'd and not got points. So I knew I was going to get either one of those scenarios today. And thank God it was the one where I finished P2. Because there's two sprint races I'll score points in, we get 7 points. And ultimately, that's kind of what's won me the championship. Because it kind of allowed us to be a bit more relaxed. And just focus on Ben in the race. Because he could finish 1, 2, maybe even 3 places in front of us. And we still won the championship. But yeah, we got a little bit lucky in the sprint with Ben getting damage. But I think it's one of them scenarios where you kind of make your own luck. Because I saw the Red Bull spinning at the final corner, and I decided if I went to the inside, everyone's going to bunch up. So going to the outside, going off track was the safest thing to do. Luckily, didn't get illegal overtake either. But yeah, the main race, it was interesting. I want to say I got a little bit lucky, but I think everyone kind of got a bit lucky with the safety car as well. Because my starting on the hards wasn't ideal. Luckily, Ben made the decision to hold me up in that first stint as well, which just put him far away from the win, which is exactly what I wanted him to do. Because all I cared about was Ben. And yeah, safety car at the end. Ben's interesting overtake, which I think he has admitted some fault on, which is fine. Wouldn't like position back. But yeah, aside from that, it's we did everything we needed to do in the sprint and quali and the race.
Yeah, certainly putting it on the front row in qualifying was also very important with just Formula Kai just having insane pace this weekend overall. But obviously, the one major flaw I'd say in that start of that race is obviously that the start of the Grand Prix on those hard tyres, they just didn't get any temperature in by the looks of it, and the places started dropping. It did work out in the end for you, but were you a little bit worried at the start of that?
I was a little bit worried, but I was just lucky that I didn't get any damage. Like that's all I was really hoping to get, because it was kind of like the weird contact model. I had a bit of a moment with Vince as well, but I had Karim on my inside, so I was 3 wide. So I thought that is what was going to give me wing damage, because I had to kind of avoid Karim. But yeah, the hards at the start were just not ideal, considering everyone, even Ben, was on softs even, and those first 2 laps, the softs are infinitely quicker than the hards while they try and heat up. But yeah, we kind of survived it. We survived it. Luckily, there wasn't an early safety car, because that would have played into Ben's hands monumentally. But thank God one didn't come until, what was it, lap 42? I think it came out on.
Yeah, I think about that.
But yeah, so strategy kind of, it was almost bad, but luckily it kind of worked out. I think me and Ben kind of got shafted each in our own ways, especially with Ben having to save fuel as well. But ultimately, we kind of do everything we need to do, and we get the championship.
Yeah, you certainly did, and congratulations to you, Jake, on becoming a 2-time Creator Series champion. I'm sure there'll be more to come in the future as well.
Hopefully.
So thank you very much, Jake. But of course, we do have the Grand Prix winner as well. Karim, join us. Well done, Karim, on that victory here this afternoon. Big win as well, because of course, no more Rainbow Snake as well on the Grand Prix track. So you pick up the win. Obviously, a little bit tense at the end with Formula Kai, but you made the move stick and you got the win. How you feeling?
Oh, To be honest, I'm just relieved. I'm relieved to finally put it all together, albeit with not much competition today with some shenanigans. I know the safety car brought it back together, but yeah, I'm relieved. I'm happy with my performance. No mistakes, no track limits, even though I went off track once, and yeah, good battle with Kai. So I'm happy. I'm relieved, and to all the haters out there, all the racing line haters, the people who said I couldn't do it, to whom it may concern, hold that victory.
Well, I mean, that's 100% one way of telling them. And you know, mate, you were fantastic today. The pace was off the charts in terms of where it was. I mean, without that safety car, you and Kai would have been miles clear of the rest of the grid. Because I think you were 10 seconds before that safety car came out, so you were definitely flying. I mean, in terms of the choice of tyres, was it originally a one-stop you planned, or was it always going to be a two-stop?
I had the one stop in mind. It was probably my preferred strategy, especially once I saw the gap behind, the tyre wear, and the pace that me and Kai had. But on top of that, I thought if we can one stop to the safety car, then we'll be fine. We'll be miles ahead of everyone else, because it also looked like everyone was planning for a two-stop. So yeah, I just used the DRS with Kai, stuck with him, and yeah, we got the safety car after the first stop, did the second stop, and then it was just a battle with Kai.
Yeah, and it certainly was a brilliant battle. But obviously going into next season, of course, a new year and a new Creator Series season, are you hopeful that now this is going to give you that momentum? Now you sort of overcome the barrier of getting that first win without that Rainbow Snake and moving it on to, you know, maybe next year fighting for that title properly?
Yeah, I mean, as we saw with Jake, congratulations to him. Consistency is key. He's, you know, been in worse cars than me for most of the season. Same with Ben and a few others. So yeah, I will try, and I hope I can build on this, build some consistency. I feel like the mistakes have gotten less and less frequent, which is good. Still, there's some tracks that are very difficult without the line. You might do it once, then by the time you come back to it, you've forgotten what to do. It's mainly the low grip tracks, like Baku. Not only that, the brake markers are just hard to see. That one's probably the most difficult. Vegas, super low grip. Tracks like that where you can lock up, miss your braking point, you know, maximum speed into the braking zone. Those, I'm not afraid to say that's my weakness. So if I can work on that, I think I'll be okay. And yeah, if the calendar treats me nice as well, then maybe I'll have some good results.
Well, I'm sure Gareth Allen is listening to this and not going to make it all tracks that you hate going into next season. But well done, Kareem, on your Grand Prix victory, mate. Well deserved. And enjoy the season off time before we get into the next Creator Series season.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. See you in a bit.
Thank you, Kareem. And hopefully we'll bring in the rest of the driver standings first. Gareth's telling me otherwise. Carl's back. Hello, Carl. So we're going to go through the driver standings. These are the final standings of Season 11 here. Meraki rounds off the season with a title on 160 points from Tiamat Marduk on 149. Lolly Noba secures third place in the title ahead of that guy Vince with an impressive fourth place in the Drivers' Championship. Alex Gillen didn't race today and ended on the same points as Razin Shai on 119. And that is a very good looking grid. And Carl, I mean, overall, I think maybe Meraki deserved it over this season, but they, you know, they both had their problems this year.
They have indeed. You hit the nail on the head right there. They've been, of course, it's sometimes down to their machinery. You can't dispute that, but they were plagued by inconsistency at times. But ultimately, I think, you know, it's not. I guess it's not just the story of the season, but I guess it's who deserves it on the night. And I think on the whole, Meraki definitely deserved it on the night. It was all a bit clumsy, I think, from Tiamat Marduk for one reason or another, whether it was game issues or whether he was the bringer of his own downfall. Regardless, I mean, it was a finale that had a little bit of everything. And also, by the way, just to highlight, Kareem 7T, having won his first race of Season 11 and his first race without racing line, was a whisker away from potentially having P4 in the driver's standings. After all of the trials and tribulations he's had, I think he can be pretty happy with himself.
Yeah, I think taking the racing line away is one of the hardest things to do in the F1 game. I mean, it's going to be very tricky, but I'm sure he is improving every race. And you can see he's improved every race because he's won the Grand Prix. And we're joined back by Tom Knight and T-Dub, not the one I called him earlier. But we'll go now over to... No, I don't want to. No, because Scotty will just use it against me. TK, we're going to go to you mate. Obviously, it was a long Grand Prix, and it was a very entertaining one in terms of overtakes, and a little bit scrappy at some points. But overall, what do you think? There's a WE above my head. I'm going to ignore that. It just happens.
Anyway, I think it was a fantastic race weekend. It was one that could have gone either way. I think even from the sprint, Jake just proved that he was faster on the night, and that's really what paid off for him in the end, because they both started at the back in the sprint. They were both on equal terms. It was 2 points in it, and Jake just had a monumental drive through the field, and that is what won it for him.
Yeah, I think overall he just had the edge on the night, and yeah, maybe via blind luck on the sprint race, but in the main race he kept it clean. And even with that start, which we thought was horrible, Mr. Tom Wilkinson, he did manage to pull it off in the end. And yeah, you could say Ben got a little bit unlucky with the penalty, but in the end it didn't even matter.
It didn't matter. I actually think we had a great event tonight. We had some really good racing back on equal cars. We don't know what the future is like, whether it's equal or realistic, but today it worked really well, and it was a really strong event. To be honest, this evening probably didn't mean anything. If you go back to Vegas, the last lap in Vegas, where everything kicked off, Jake was nowhere. I think he was P8 or P7 on that last lap. With everything that went on into the final chicane, the final braking zone of the race, Infratic getting caught up, Kai getting caught up, Jake steaming through to take third. If you look back at it now, that's probably what won him the championship. We've joked about it so many times. Jake spawning in P3 after having a fairly sort of quiet and substandard race. It was that vintage Meraki performance in Las Vegas where he kept his nose clean and kept himself out of trouble that left himself in this position in Abu Dhabi where he did pick it up.
What we like to call the George Russell manoeuvre, not doing anything but ending up on the podium. And Carl, overall this season, what have your thoughts been? Of course, you've been, all around in terms of the commentary box in the Clipbook corner. And overall, I think it's been a very, very solid season here in the Creator Series.
I would agree. It's been a roller coaster ride at times. It really has. But that's what you come to expect in the Creator Series, I'll be honest with you. Like Tom Wilkinson, or apparently Tom Wang says, we don't know what the future is going to look like. We don't know. But, hell, I mean, I think we did pretty well for ourselves this season. Equal cars, realistic cars, F2 cars, wildcards dished in between. We've had it all. We really have had it all. But I think the ultimate conclusion from this whole season is, I think, on the night, I think we can all agree, the right driver took the title tonight.
Yeah, I think on the night, that is what was deserved, and Jake certainly pulled it off. But now we're going to go through our little post-credit scene like we're in a Marvel movie. We're going to start off with TK. TK, where can the lovely people find you around the world?
Well, I'll tell you where they cannot find me. The Williams F1 Racing Factory. At least not yet, but we'll see how that goes on. Online, though, you can check me out on pretty much every single social media. I'm at They Call Me TK.
And where can they find you, Mr. Tom Wilkinson?
In person, roaming the streets of Didcot, potentially. On the internet or on an internet, TW06 on Twitter and Twitch, Wilker.coms or Wilker.darts on Instagram and TikTok.
And Mr. Carl, finally, where can they find your lovely, beautiful face?
Well, I'll tell you where you might actually be able to find me, and that is in and around the Williams FW08B. Very interesting, that. But you will also find me at various social media. I have a very distinctive name. If you type that, you'll probably find me there. My final closing thought is, gents and everyone that's been in the broadcast team, from production to presenting to clip booking to commentating, whatever part of the series you have been, it has been an honour and a privilege.
Well, thank you very much, Carl, and it has been a privilege indeed. If you want to find me, I don't know why you would, but if you want to find me, you can find me at Deflink10 on any of the social medias. It does still get demonetized. I am considering changing it. But I would also like to thank our producer in the box. He's going to hate me for doing this, but it's Mr. Gareth Allen, who's had a very, very good season in the box and trying to sort everything out alongside TK, who has done it a few times, but who remembers that? But overall, it's been a fantastic Creator Series season again. We'd like to thank everyone involved in the Creator Series in terms of every commentator that's been involved and every presenter and Clipbook Corner. But until then, keep in touch with the Creator Series channel because you never know where we might turn up next. Until then, we'll see you guys later. It's from me, from TK, from Tom Wank, and from Carl. It's been a good night. We'll see you guys later.